Champ, man, I think the Lakers are over. It's time to clean up house, man. And I know you're a diehard Los Angeles Lakers fan, but it's time for the Lakers to clean up house.
Hey, I agree 100%, man. After a while, like I said, you just cannot. As great as that Laker organization is, it's not what it used to be. When the great Dr. Bus was alive, it was free agents were coming. You made the correct trades. You were getting rid of players too early, whether you were getting rid of players at just the right time rather than too late. And you wasn't really trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat in order to make something work that you knew was going to eventually die down. You know, it's just like they rolled Kobe until the wheels fell off. And it seems like they're doing the same thing with LeBron and AD at a certain point. And I don't think that's the correct way to go about things. So,
I agree there. But anyway, folks, welcome to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast. I'm your boy, Sports PSP. Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic Friday evening. We got some other people on the panel coming up sooner than later. But of course, I cannot do the Sports PSP podcast without my main man, undisputed world champ. How you doing, brother?
it is going good, man. Great week this week, man. Hey, hell of a past 2 weeks for sports, man. We have the NHL playoffs going on. Shout out to the Los Angeles Kings. We had the WNBA draft. Shout out to all the young ladies that were drafted in that draft and that is going to set the tone for years to come for the WNBA. Then we had the big guys, the NFL draft come. It's been a wonderful 2 weeks for sports, man. I'm just happy to witness history and be a part of it, man. 75 degrees down here in Columbus, Georgia. Gotta love it.
75. Right now it's 50 degrees outside in South Orange, New Jersey. But don't
Mm.
worry, the weather's gonna get much warmer. You just had to bring up Columbus, Georgia. Yes, greatest city out there in the United States of America, no question about it. Before we talk about the NFL draft, man, we gotta talk about the NBA playoffs. I gotta talk about your Los Angeles Lakers champ 3-0. The Nuggets are up 3-0 in this series. The Lakers, they've had opportunities to close game one and game two. They had like a 20-point lead in game two, but the Nuggets came back. Jamal Murray with that incredible game-winning shot over Anthony Davis. It seems like it's over for the Lakers. What's next for LA, man?
LA needs to take got a lot of soul searching to do on this all season. As I said before, you cannot ride this wave till the wheels fall off. It's not gonna. You cannot expect, as great as LeBron James is in year 20, you cannot expect him to do carry jobs. It's just not that way anymore. I mean, and I understand this team. Last year, this team overachieved when they made it to the Western Conference Finals. They overachieved. But after a while, you have to understand when a deal is done. And my thing is, as great as this franchise was, like I stated at the beginning of your podcast, brother, this team is not meant for championships at this moment. It is time to break that team up. It's time to bring in some young players. It's time to build from the ground up. It's time to do something. It's time to draft like you used to. It's time to bring in the correct free agents, not just to win now or to put butts in seats, but to become dynasties like the Lakers have been known to be in the past. If you really think of it, one championship is not the Lakers standard. Multiple is the Lakers standards. If you look in the 80s, you'll see it. If you look in the 2000s, you'll see it. Even if you look way back in George Mikan back in the 50s and the 60s, you'll see it. One of the first team to the first team in NBA history to three-peat. So it's not the point to win one time in LA, it's the point to win multiple times. And unfortunately, the last couple of years after the bubble, they have not had the team in order to recapture that magic, in order to turn them into the dynasty that they need. And not to mention, you don't have the capability of stopping the big men in the West. You can't stop Jokic.
You can't. Even if you put Anthony Davis on him, and there's no shame, champ, because Anthony Davis throughout this season, he's been playing well. 76 games, averaging around 24 and 12. Even when he's guarding Nikola Jokic, in my opinion, the best player in the NBA, Jokic is making any shot and it's just too good. And last night, yesterday's game in game 3, you had a chance, and in the second half, you fell apart. They couldn't stop Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon
No,
was getting offensive rebounds. Aaron Gordon was scoring in the paint. Michael Porter Jr. was getting it together. Even when Jokic didn't have like a great game like he normally has, still he was effective. But the Lakers seemed gassed. I mean, D'Angelo Russell couldn't buy you a bucket last night. Didn't even score. Didn't even do anything on the offensive side.
nope. I mean, needs to go to the bathroom and use the bathroom so he can say he did something in the stadium that night. So I'm just being real. My bad. My bad, PSP. But hey, I'm being honest. You cannot depend. Hey, you have 2 superstars on this team. They cannot carry you every single game. And it goes back to what you just said. When your superstars is not on, and it's not just popping, you need your role players and your guys in order to step in. You need your guys in order to step in and make that difference that you cannot make during that game. You're not going to be on as a superstar every single game. Some games, shots are not going to be falling, plays are not going to be made. But it's up to the rest of the supporting cast in order to do their job. And I think that's what the Denver Nuggets have. Not only are they good at the superstar position with Aaron Murray, Jamal Murray,
Jamal
with
Murray,
uh with
Michael
Jamal
Porter
Murray,
Jr.,
with Jokic, with all of those
Contavious
players.
Caldwell Pope, Reggie
Yes,
Jackson, Aaron
yes,
Gordon.
they are great at that time. They are great at their other guys stepping up. So even if Jokic is having a bad night, those guys can take over and be like, okay, we got you. Unfortunately, the Lakers do not have that anymore. They don't have that. They haven't had that since the bubble. And my thing is, like I said, LeBron is getting older. You need to get some out of him now while you can. You need to get something out of AD while you still can before that one injury takes him away forever. And you need to do it the right way. If you ever notice, the last couple of dynasties, it hasn't been a lot of super team dynasties. If you really look at it, now Golden State was a super team, but you got to realize that Golden State built the majority of their team through the draft. Through the draft.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Denver Nuggets through the draft. So this is not the early 90s and the early 2000s where, it's just time to go get the biggest name free agent you could possibly get and bring them to your team. A lot more teams are building through the draft, as they should, because that's where the talent is at this point. That's how you build for the future. They have a draft for a reason. So I think the Lakers need to get back to basics and start building through the draft, because the thing is, they need to stop doing one thing and one thing only. Stop having a revolving door of coaches. That's not helping the franchise either. You don't have that one standalone coach that you can say, even if you don't have a superstar player, that he can bring someone to a team and say, hey, I can go to a team because he's there. I don't think Darwin Ham is that coach. I think he's a lot to blame for this as well, because he
The
doesn't make the proper
adjustments.
adjustments. Yes, he does not make the proper adjustments needed. And that is a
Right.
problem as well. And if you ever notice, a lot of those guys, they don't even talk to him. They talk to some of the assistant coaches when it's
It
time to go
seems
to
like
the house.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was gonna get into that, champ. It seems like Darvin Ham has really they don't even want to acknowledge him.
Yeah.
And my thing is, champ, but here's the thing. I understand you want to go into the direction with the draft and everything, but we've seen the Lakers previously. They drafted D'Angelo Russell, number 2 overall pick. They drafted Brandon Ingram, number 2 overall pick. They drafted Lonzo Ball, number 2 overall pick. They drafted Julius Randle. When you see young players that have been drafted by the Lakers, you see them go elsewhere, and they've gotten better elsewhere. So, what does that say about you when you say you want them to develop in the draft?
Well, you got to think about this. You have to think about this.
What
The
up, Grant?
reason why that didn't work is because of one thing. You were so anxious to try to bring LeBron into the fold so you can win now. That's where the Lakers have been messing up for years, ever since Kobe. If you really think about those two championship teams on the last on the back end of Kobe's career, those two championships, 2009 and 2010, a lot of that was not in the draft. A lot of that was not in the draft. A lot of that was in free agency and trades. A lot of that. Now you get to now where I'm fully convinced, even if they would not have moved that team the way they did, that team would have still been a playoff contender. Maybe not in the NBA Finals, but it still would have been a preeminent playoff contender.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to win now. And I understand the whole thing. You know the whole moniker. You know LA like I know it. LA loves a winner. Well, the thing is, if you build a winner, you can sustain it. It's not the point to win in LA. You have to sustain it. Like I said, it's not about winning one title in LA. You know, that is why God rest his soul, the great Wilt Chamberlain, as great as he was in Los Angeles, one of the best teams of all time, won 69 games, 32 in a row. That is the reason why in Los Angeles, you don't hear too much about that team. You hear about Kareem and Magic. You hear about Shaq and Kobe. You hear about Kobe and Gasol. So you have to build through the draft. And you have to be patient as a franchise and realize this. You're not just selling hope. You're selling the fact that you know what you're doing and you know how to develop these players.
Absolutely. Before I'm gonna read a couple of comments right here. This is from our man Joshua Bailey, Jay Bailey from Stay Tuned Live. Shout out to the Stay Tuned Live podcast. Check them out every Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. He said LeBron stunts players' growth. Okay. Um, Before I want to give my man shout out to my man Grant. Does a great job. Always checks out. Always comes on the Sports PSP Pod. Also, Brendan from the Blocks Podcast. Also, go check him out on Players Choice, particularly PC Gridiron. Grant, man, how you doing, man?
Doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing, PSP?
Good, man. We just talking about the NBA playoffs, particularly with the Los Angeles Lakers. It seems like it's over for the Lakers in this series. They're about to be
Mm-hmm.
swept. What should the Lakers do?
But they should have blow it up. But I'm not surprised it's taken them this long to find out. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like when they made it into the playoffs, and everyone was saying that they finally had Denver's number. After Game 2, I knew it was over. Like, you're not gonna come back. Like, if you see how LeBron and AD were reacting at the end of that press conference, it was like they got shot through the heart. Like you're not coming back from that. Like you had a 20-point lead going into that last quarter. You let Denver run up the score on you, and in the very last second, Jamal Murray gets a fadeaway shot over AD to put him up 2-0. And that third game, I watched that. I didn't even. I was debating. I told myself like I shouldn't watch this, but I have to because it's something. It's so. And it was like they looked disinterested. It looked like they didn't care. And it looked like they already like accepted the fact that they were gonna lose. So at this point, essentially, it's for me, it's over. Denver's winning game tomorrow night, and they're gonna sweep them, and then you blow it up. LeBron should not resign. He needs to leave. I don't know where he's gonna go. He's probably gonna go wherever his son goes in the draft. If he gets to that point. And then at this point, I think you just have to just completely dissolve everything because D'Lo has been horrible all year. Rui has been mid at best. What has Spencer Dinwiddie done outside of like 5 games where he maybe averaged 20? And then after that, he did absolutely nothing. The only guy that you can really say that's been consistent all year is AD. Maybe Austin Reeves, but that's just me being nice. And with the Lakers, essentially, I've said this before, this is all their own fault. They had opportunity when LeBron got there and they had a young depth roster, but LeBron essentially was the win now. So he took Kuzma, he took the LaMelo Ball, got rid of them all, put in a whole new team so they could win now. And now we're 4 years later, or we're in 4 years, 5 years later into this, and you're looking at this now, and it's like, mistake. You have to reap what you sow. So I hope LeBron doesn't re-sign and gets out of Los Angeles because essentially it's over. And this, if they're not going to fire Darvin Ham, as much as I want to, as much as they should, they won't because they are committed to keeping him on the squad for some reason. Rob Pelinka doesn't know what he's doing. I just at the point with the Lakers is just blow it up, just bite the bullet and do it. Because at that point, it's time. If you don't do it now, you're just gonna be in the same position we are next year, and it's just gonna be a repeat cycle. Like I feel like we should have learned this lesson now because this team all over is just inconsistent. And after watching them play this entire series, if you don't blow it up now, you're never gonna do it.
You're never gonna do it. Before I give my opinion on this, I gotta give some love to my man BRF Sports. How you doing, my brother? How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing pretty good. I just got off a Facebook video call with my little munchkin. She'll be 9 in a couple days, so
Happy birthday!
I had to kind of, yeah. I'm a, giving my little Maya a shout out. Her name's Maya, so she lives away from me. She lives up north, so I had to giving her a shout out. So yeah. So I told you once I get my love in, I was gonna get back on. I was gonna jump in with the fellas. So it's always good. It's always yes, sir. So it's always a pleasure to be on here with you. PSP is always a pleasure. Always good to see you, Grant. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure talking sports with you. And as always, the Georgia homie, undisputed world champ, brothers in arms in this thing. So we got to do it.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
BRF, we talking about the Lakers, man. They lost last night.
There's nothing to talk about with them.
All right, then let me ask you this question: is it time for them to break apart?
Shoot, man, they should have thought about this at the mid-season point. To be honest with you, they always go on these little stretches. They always go on these stretches late in the season where they go on these runs and they give Lakers fans hope. They give them a little hope. But as soon as I saw that Denver Nuggets matchup, I was like, yeah, y'all might as well just pack it up because y'all don't play the team ball like the Denver Nuggets do. It's just Denver right now, they're on another level from the Lakers right now. They do everything right, particularly with Jokic leading the way like he does. I mean, good, what, 27, 20, and 10 the other night? Bro. If he's top 2 in the world right now, and some people argue he ain't 2, and I wouldn't be I'm not gonna knock you for saying that because I think he's a bona fide top 2 player in the world. So I mean, he's just what they've done to them. I think the last 6 playoff games, what they've done to them has just been borderline criminal. It really has been, and At this point, yes, I think it's absolute. Yeah, they need to. They need to blow it. They need to. It's it. I think that they got the one championship after letting all the young guys go. They got the one championship, and I know everyone's like, oh well, it was the bubble championship. Look, at the end of the day, it's a championship. Everybody had the same opportunities in that bubble. The Lakers just got hot. They won it. I mean, Exactly. At the end of the day, they made all the right moves. They won it. So I don't like people discrediting that championship because everybody had the same advantages and disadvantages in that thing. The Lakers just so happen to be the team that won it. But with that being said, yeah, it's time to blow it up. I mean, you need to look at trades for everybody. Nobody should be off limits. And I mean, absolutely nobody should be off limits. And that includes the coach. He shouldn't be off limits either. His butt can get it too if they need to. Nobody on that team is off limits. And the first person, the first person I'm looking to deal because he's going to bring the most value because he still has trade value is Anthony Davis. He's the first one I'm looking at. They need to blow it up.
It's going to be hard. I mean, here's my thing with the Lakers. LeBron James got at least a year or 2 left in the tank. That's what I see. D'Angelo Russell got to go. He got to go because if he's not giving you offense, what is he giving you? We know damn sure for a fact he ain't giving you defense. I like Rui
Oh, he definitely
Hachimura.
giving you defense.
D'Angelo Russell giving you defense?
I said, he ain't giving you defense.
Oh yeah, he ain't giving
That's
you
one thing.
no way.
Defending the food he was
None.
eating on that. He was defending that food
None.
he was eating.
Rui
None.
Hachimura. I like Rui Hachimura. I like his athleticism. I like he can bring defense. Still raw offensively, but I like what he can do. Austin Reeves. Yeah, I mean he'll give you some good performances here and there. You got to get rid of D'Lo. What are you got to get rid of Darvin Ham. That's your problem because he doesn't make the necessary type of adjustments. And you've had, if you're the Lakers, you've had numerous opportunities to have big. You've had big leads. You had a 20-point lead in Game 2 against the Nuggets, and for whatever reason, you wet the bed. You wet the bed. D'Angelo Russell played much better in Game 2 than what he did in Game 1. And especially in Game 3, he was
And
an
after all that
absolute
trash he was
no-show
talking.
in Game 3.
How do
The
you how do
Nuggets,
you, how do you score 0 points in a playoff game?
But you eating chocolate on the bench like you did something. And then after all that trash talk he was saying, like, I'm hyped to play this game. 0 for 6.
No, you weren't.
0 points. Get him
Anthony-
out. He should have been gone.
Anthony Davis should be frustrated because this is Anthony Davis he's giving you great production. You can't ask anything more from Anthony Davis, not only in the playoffs, but not only that, he's played 76 games this season. The knock on AD has been durability, all done. Well, he's giving you 76 games, averaging around 24 and 12. You know, he was pissed off because he wasn't in the discussion for Defensive Player of the Year, not a finalist. LeBron, he played well in the first half, but in the second half, I thought he could have played a lot better. I just think the Denver Nuggets, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it again, man. Jokic is on a mission. Jokic, I believe, if he wins another championship, another finals MVP, we really going to have a discussion about top 5. BRF, you said he's already top 5 in your opinion already.
Top
I
5
said
all time?
I agree with I agree.
Oh,
I
center.
agree.
Okay. That's not
Yeah, I agree. I agree from the context of you give him another league MVP, you give him another championship. I don't see any reason why you can't go ahead and then put him in there.
No.
Yeah, he gets another MVP in the championship. I think you can put him up there.
You look at Jamal Murray. What do you see from him come postseason time?
He's clutch.
He's clutch. Michael Porter Jr. dealing with a lot because his brothers. We don't need to get into all the details. We already know. If you don't know, just do your research. Aaron Gordon showed up in Game 3. He showed up in Game 3. The Nuggets out-rebounded the Los Angeles Lakers. And KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, somebody that the Lakers had when they won the championship during the bubble. You don't think the Lakers would want him in terms of his three-point shooting and his defense? And when I look at this team collectively, they miss him. Denver's just on a mission. Denver, all this talk about the Lakers blowing these leads. How about the fact that the Denver Nuggets, in the words of Rudy Tomjanovich, never underestimate the heart of a champion. The Nuggets are still the reigning champions, and they still hungry. So I believe, and look, with Anthony Davis, there's nothing that you can do to stop Jokic. He's just too skilled. He's just too gifted. He's just that good, man. And I just think, bottom line, honestly, the Lakers, changes have to be made. And if LeBron has to leave, might as well put LeBron in a better situation to win. If he wants to finish the rest of his 2 years with his son, might as well. But the Lakers, as presently constructed, they're not winning a championship. They'll get to the play-in tournament, win a play-in tournament game, but that's about it. They damn sure ain't winning. That's all I got to say. Let's talk about the Miami Heat Boston Celtics.
Oh, my God.
Miami Heat got embarrassed in Game 1 by the Boston Celtics. But game 2, Miami Heat was kicking their ass. 23 threes.
Oof.
23 threes,
Oof.
which I believe isn't that like the
all
franchise record for the Miami Heat. I mean, Tyler
Oof.
Hero was cooking. Caleb
the way now.
Martin was cooking. Jamie Vasquez was cooking. Aaron Spoelstra. Listen, say
Get
what
out
you
the way
want about
now.
South Beach, man. They don't play. So, Grant, you as a Celtics fan, you wearing the Celtics hat. What happened in game 2?
I'm tired. Okay. I'm tired of this every year where we get into series where we shouldn't be struggling. There is no reason why we should not have swept this team. They don't have Jimmy Butler. That's literally they have multiple others. Like I'm telling you right now, every year with the Celtics in the playoffs, we can ball out in the regular season and dominate. You go back and look at that game, and you look at what we let them shoot 22 threes in that entire game. Let Tyler Hero go off and have a double-double, bam, bombed out. And what did freaking Porzingis do? 6 points, shot 0 for 4 from 3-point range. Like, I'm not worried about it because I still think it's Celtics in 5. I'm saying that with like exasperation. But my biggest problem is the same thing we did last year. When we make mistakes and be inconsistent in the playoffs, we consistently struggle. Look at last year. I'm saying this right now. We should have beat Philly in 6 games. There's no way we should have gone to a game 7 because game 1, we should have won, but you let Al Horford get up on James Harden and saw how that happened. And then we got completely collapsed in the other few games that we played. The whole reason why I'm thinking the miracles of the stars, we had a game 7 and Jason Tatum had the game of his life. Last year against the Heat, say what you want about Jason Tatum, whether he got hurt or not was the factor. I could care less. We still should have not have lost that game. We should have locked it down. We were at home. We came back from 3 games down because everyone thought it was wraps, and we still lost. So I still trust the Celtics to get it done. If we lose this series, we're frauds in general, and then you have to blow it up. Because I'm not going to sit you because like how much we paid Derek White, we paid Jaylen Brown. It's like you're not going to get any much more out of this team. Like, we're the best team in the freaking elite conference, and we're struggling against Miami. And you're telling me that that's a team that's going to be able to beat Denver. No. I have to have –
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was finished.
Can I ask you guys something real quick? Do you think a lot of this has to do with the changing up of coaching styles from a couple of years ago when they had the head coach from the Houston Rockets? I still cannot pronounce his name.
Ime Udoka.
Ime Udoka. I think. Do you think that the habits that they formed over the last couple of years is because of him being a big void in that team?
I think it's a mix of that, but I just think it's like we have those games where we're inconsistent in our play, and it's the one time where we cannot be inconsistent. That's the biggest problem with us. I don't see a reason why Boston shouldn't be in the finals this year at all. With the team we've built and with everything we've done this season, I have no reason to say this team will make the finals. But if we play like we did last night in the games that matter, we're not going to be able to win a chip because we're on a time limit. Like, we have a range this year and next year. If we don't win it in the next 2 years, we're not winning another chip for another 10 years. Because I don't see a way we're going to win it because we're going to either have to pay everybody, and we're already having some of these players are the most expensive contracts in the league. And I feel like we're on a time crunch to get this chip. So we have to win it now. But if we're going to go out here and play like we did last night and lose silly games like we're doing, we're not going to win a chip. And that's the thing I'm worried about because, like, look, and I'll keep it a buck. We have 18 championships. At this point, it's just another banner on the wall. I saw the Celtics win one when I was 8 years old. I want to see them win another one, but if we play sloppy like this, we won't be able to win. Because you're not going to look at me right now and say from the team you saw last night is going to beat Denver in a 7-game series. They're not. If Denver makes it that far.
But here's my thing about the entire thing, though. I knew y'all were in trouble when I saw Miami in your bracket. This is what they do. This is what they do in the playoff. I mean, understand you got faith in your team, but these are the Miami Heat come playoff time. This is what they do. They don't care what your seating is. They play defense. They have 3-point shooters. They got a killer inside and Bam out of Adebayo and Eric Spoelstra. Say what you will about Eric Spoelstra. The dude is a coach. Everybody was kind of thinking, everybody was thinking, he was coasting off of that big three era with Braun and D Wade and Bosh. No, Eric Spoelstra is a legit coach. And he's proven it time and time and time again. When he gets these boys in the playoffs, he gets them ready. He doesn't care about seeding. He's one of the best at making adjustments. He's one of the best at getting his teams ready come playoff time. This is why he's taken it. This is why he's made two finals appearances with this Miami core. They just know how to play come playoff time. It's just nothing shakes them when it comes to the bright lights of the playoffs. Nothing shakes them. Nothing. And everybody, and I was kind of worried about them when, Jimmy Butler got hurt and they announced that he's basically going to miss the majority of these playoffs. But then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, these are still the Miami Heat. If they take on the persona, if they take on that mentality of a Jimmy Butler, the way Eric Spoelstra coaches, this is not going to be a cakewalk for Boston. And it would not shock me if Miami takes them to 6, possibly 7, because that's just how they play come playoff time. They don't worry about the seeding. They don't worry about who's in front of them. All they see are another group of players that want the same thing they want, and they're going to come out and they're going to scrap and they're going to they're going to beat you. And I don't know. It's just
No, BRF, you said it right on the money, man. Because when
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I'm not. No, I'm not either. Eric Spoelstra don't play. Mickey Harrison, Pat Riley, that Heat organization. Ironically, even though it's on South Beach, they know exactly what it takes. They've been to the finals before. They have history going up against the Boston Celtics. They faced this team multiple times
and beaten them
conference finals.
They beat the Bucks last year when no one thought they would.
Yeah.
So when I look at
I'm not gonna lie. I picked Miami to beat Milwaukee in those Eastern Conference Finals because it's the matchup. They've always been able to match up well, no matter who's on that team. They've always been able to match up well with Milwaukee, particularly with Giannis, because they know how to clog the paint. They know how to clog the paint on him. They make him shoot outside jumpers, which is still his weak point. I picked Miami to beat Milwaukee in that series. That did not proud of me last year.
Mm-hmm. Let me read some comments on the comment section by Jay Will. Jay Bailey, LeBron about to get swept 2 years in a row. D-Low, 0 points. What up, fellas? And Jay Bailey's response, Jay Will, fanboys will make excuses and cry about the head coach. Hey, look, listen, he ain't wrong about Darvin Ham. But back to the Heat versus Celtics. Champ, talk to me. What happened in game 2?
Hey, I'm going to just be real. Like we say down south, you better get yourself in gear, Boston, because the boys from down south ain't playing with you. And what's so sad about that, you should be sweeping. And like we always say down south as well, what should happen and what's going to happen is two different things.
Two different things.
Yes, because you should be sweeping these guys and blowing them out without Jimmy Butler. They're without their star player. They're without the heart of the team. They're without the heartbeat of the team. They're without the very, very will and the spirit of their team. But because you're going out there playing sloppy, you're out there, now you tied at 1-1. And I'm fully with Grant at this point in time. You only have a certain amount of time to win a championship, especially with this team right here. And I wouldn't be surprised that if after, I won't say this season, but after next season, they start looking at breaking that team up if they don't win a championship very, very soon. Especially, and the thing is, they've been so close. And it's just a matter of you closing out the right game in order for you to make it to a finals and win a finals. You have to be willing. It's kind of like them and the Lakers are kind of the same at this point in time because you're not able to close out games. The only difference is the Lakers are playing in a superior team. And because And I have to be honest with you. I blame a lot of this on Boston kind of looking past them because Jimmy Butler's not out there on the court. I think that is safe to say.
Do you think they underestimated them?
Huh?
You think they underestimated
Yes.
Miami?
Yes, because Jimmy Butler, the heart of the team, is not out there. Their probably was looking past the thing, okay, especially after game one. So, hey, but you can't come out there, hey, any given Sunday, you can be beat. It just takes a little bit longer in the NBA for you to fall. So, Boston, you can't go out there thinking just because Jimmy Butler's not there that this is going to be a cakewalk. You got the Godfather and Pat Riley in the front office as usual. Eric Spoelstra can coach. He can coach his behind off. So you cannot and this is a prime example of how good he can coach. He's missing his star player. And they're still going out there just lighting it up like a Christmas tree in December.
Giving you that work.
Yes. So, and the coach for the Boston Celtics, you have to do something in making the correct adjustments needed in order to avoid something like that. So that's why I brought up Ime Udoka and the fact that they may be missing him as well. Because I can guarantee you, if he would have been the coach, that type of performance wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, Boston, you got to finish out games, man. You are better than, I might be a diehard Laker fan, but hey, game recognized game. You better than this. Yeah. So you got to be better than this. Otherwise, it's another team with unfulfilled potential. And guess what? Hey, you might be getting blown up in the next couple of years. And who's to say how long it's going to take you to get this magic again? So,
well, they better do something because Jaylen Brown already got his bag.
Yeah, we paid Jaylen.
Jason Tatum's going to get his money eventually. And you already traded to get Porzingis. You traded to get Drew Holiday. You got in a perimeter defender. This really should be the Nuggets versus the Celtics in the finals. This is where I have the two teams going up against each other because the Lakers, I just think they're no match against the Nuggets. The Clippers, okay, you have to depend on Kawhi Leonard staying healthy and is Harden capable enough come postseason time, in which we've seen from James Harden. And the younger teams going up against Denver, I just think Denver has the experience and the championship pedigree. Boston, they should win this because no matter what with New York, look, I believe Boston or New York, I still think the Celtics. Milwaukee, don't get me started. They lost to the Pacers. Didn't they lose to the Pacers in Game 3? Even though Chris Middleton put it to overtime, but Tyrese Halliburton with the game-winning shot. Doc Rivers has gotten too many chances. I'm sorry. Even without, he's gotten too many chances.
Chris Middleton drops 42, and you still can't get the job done. That's crazy. No Giannis. Chris Middleton drops it hits like a dagger 3-shot. That whole game was just ridiculous, bro. I don't know how he got hired. That's what's even crazier. Like, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but that's the thing I don't get. I can understand why. At first, I didn't understand why I got rid of Adrian Griffin. I kind of understood it a little bit, but you bring in Doc Rivers, Mr. blows three game leads, Mr. completely collapses in the playoffs. Like, out of all the ever since he got there, the Bucks have been rocky, and now Giannis isn't playing, and you got to rely a lot more, especially on Dame and Chris, to at least try to help you pull something out. I don't know. I'm going to keep it a buck. In this series, I got Pacers winning in 6 because I don't know if I can – if Giannis isn't playing, that's like for me, like the biggest dagger for Milwaukee because I felt like the whole reason they –
And not only that, Grant, Damian Lillard, I don't know in the second half, he plays great in the first half, and then in the second half, it's no show. Now, game 1 – we forgot about his second half performance because of how terrific he was in game 1 and the Bucks won. In game 2, this is a golden opportunity for Milwaukee to keep the momentum going, and they lose that one in game 2. Game 3, if they lose this one in game 4, what's going to happen? Because now wait because Doc Rivers, man, at some point in time, you've blown multiple 3-3-1 leads. You've blown multiple 3-2 leads. You have not been to the conference finals since the lockout year back in 2011, 2012. You haven't won
Atlanta
a
Hawks.
champion. Yeah.
I'm sorry. My bad. 2021. I'm sorry. Whew. When you're the reason the Atlanta Hawks have been to a conference finals, that's all you need to know. Okay.
Well, that's his fault because he defended Ben Simmons all this time. He said, he said, if you think I'm gonna take Ben Simmons out the ball game, you don't know basketball. But what did he eventually ended up doing when Ben Simmons was a no-show in the playoffs? And when he was asked the question, do you think you can win a championship with Ben Simmons as your point guard? Yeah, man, I don't know the answer to that question. Doc Rivers,
Oof.
at some point, man, before you got the head coaching job, you were on ESPN working with Mike Breen and the great Doris Burke. Bro, you've got numerous opportunities, man. You've got numerous opportunities. So it wouldn't surprise me if he blew it up. But at the same time, you got to look at it and you say, okay, Doc, he's a well-respected coach. I believe he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But how much opportunities has he gotten? How many?
Well, if I could interject real quick, I'm going to just be real, man. You hate to down a coach like Doc Rivers, who's well-respected. But the thing is this, you've had some of the most talented teams money can buy, and you still couldn't win it. And if you really want me to be honest with you, people can talk all they want to, and you underachieved with that Boston Celtics team. That team should at least have 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Not just
that team champ, the Clippers.
Yeah.
With Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and then after that, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Yeah.
How do you not make a finals with the Lob City Clippers? Just how?
I don't blame a lot of that on him, man. And I think a lot of that whole Donald Sterling situation caused a lot of distraction that did not need to be there. So,
yeah, I can give you that.
What about the following year, champ? They had a 3-1 lead against the Houston Rockets. Game 6. Now, Game 5 was predicted they were going to lose at the Toyota Center in Houston. Game 6, they had a 17-19 point lead in the fourth quarter. James Harden, who was the runner-up for MVP, who you could make an argument he should have won the MVP that season, was on the bench. Corey Brewer, Josh Smith, Dwight Howard, all other players on the Houston Rockets team came back and won that game. And then Game 7, they collapsed.
Yeah. That year, the year before, I don't blame on him. That whole Donald Sterling situation.
No, I don't. That was too emotional. We get that part.
Yeah, but that was too emotional, and that was. But I mean, like I said, I think he's the Lenny Wilkens of this generation, man. He won that one championship, much like Lenny Wilkens did, and then after that, you make one finals with some of the most talented teams that we ever want to see. I mean, if you think about the same teams that Lenny Wilkens coached, it's almost comparable with Doc Rivers. Think about the Cleveland Cavaliers during the 80s. Think about, and you can attest to this as well, BRF. Think about that Mookie Blaylock team with Lenny Wilkens, Steve Smith.
Those Hawks teams in the mid-90s were so goddamn crucial.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, couldn't win with that team. So the thing is, after a while, you have to, and the only team that he ever won with, and you can almost attribute that to the NBA being in the state that it was in, was the Tiny Archibald team in 79 with the Seattle Supersonics. Because after that, he didn't win anything. And like I said, I think that Lenny Wilkens is almost parallel with Doc Rivers, two coaches that have continuously gotten jobs based on that one championship, and teams think that they're going to come and give them that same one. Now, in fairness to Doc, not in fairness to Lenny Wilkens, I will say, at least Michael Jordan was standing in the way of the championship for you. At least you had that. At least you had that as a thing. Well, you was in the same conference with Michael Jordan and Bird during the time where Bird was still running things. But even after that, you still couldn't win with some of the most talented teams that you had. And the same thing with Doc. Those Celtics teams should have had at least 2 to 3 championships. That Lob City team should have at least won one. Should have at least won one. Because before the Golden State Warriors ever hit their stride, the Clippers had their number. You couldn't win with Kawhi and Paul George. Then you go to the Sixers. Couldn't win with Joel Embiid. And ironically, the minute you leave, he won an MVP. Ironically.
Yeah.
So the only reason, go ahead.
And then, now it's like history repeating itself. I'm going to give you a Hall of Fame player. 2 Hall of Famers. Giannis, who's proven. 2-time MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. One of the most talented players you've ever want to see. I'm going to give you him. Then I'm going to give you Dame and Chris Middleton. This team's already won a championship before. You ain't got to do much. Just show them the way.
With a good supporting cast.
I agree.
Yeah.
Plus, that's the only reason. That's the only reason why Dame was going to sign his. That's the only way Dame was going to sign that Supermax was if they were able to. Because he said he wasn't. Because keep in mind, the Bucks were desperately trying to get Dame to sign that Supermax, and he said he wasn't going to sign it unless they were going to be contending for a championship. You get him, Damian freaking Lillard, and we were all, when that move happened, thought this team was going to win the East. Like, we didn't think nothing was going to stand in their way. And looking at it now, how they're struggling with Giannis out, it sucks because Milwaukee is now in a situation where it's like you got one of the most clutch shooters we've ever seen in the NBA, and you got Giannis on that squad, Chris Middleton, and you're still struggling. It's a whole messed up situation that where the season looks so optimistic just completely went in 1,000 different directions in the span of like halfway through the season. And I'm wondering, looking at it now, like if you didn't fire Adrian Griffin, would it be different? Maybe. But it kind of still sucks because now you're going to look at it and I don't know if they win this series, honestly. If they play like this, I mean, tonight was an exception because it was close because Chris Middleton was playing out of his mind, and I'll give that to him. But right now, Indiana's up 2 games. If they win tomorrow, if they win on, I think they play again Sunday. They play Sunday and they win, and they go back to Milwaukee and it's 3-1. They're not winning. I'm sorry, they're not. I can't. As much as I want to believe that they can, I just don't. The thing is, the problem is, and again, Giannis is the piece that keeps that team together. If he is not on that court and able to play, that team can't survive. They're not going to be able to stop it. Because Tyrese Halliburton, even though it probably wasn't his craziest game, Pascal Siakam and all them doing the job they needed to and exploiting especially that Milwaukee defense that we've seen the second half of the season just be completely non-existent. So that if you're going to sit here right now and tell me
they missed Mike Budenholzer. Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, if Pacers win this, I'm not going to be surprised, but it's going to be the biggest what if scenario in the history for me. If we just what if Adrian Griffin did get fired? What if Giannis was healthy? It's going to stink because you look at this team and you wonder where they could have been at the beginning. It's just a crazy story.
Absolutely. Let's talk about one more series and then we'll get into the NFL draft. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns, Minnesota Timberwolves. I got to give a lot of credit to BRF because he's talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves, their defense. Anthony Edwards was talking that talk in game 1, balled out in game 1. Game 2, he didn't have a great game as far as shooting wise, but still he made up for it with the passing and the playmaking. Minnesota they are a team that's an intriguing team, not just in the West, but in the NBA because of what they do defensively, how they handle Devin Booker, how they handle Kevin Durant. I love what Anthony Edwards said. Well, they got KD, we got Jaden McDaniels, and Jaden McDaniels had the game of his life in Game 2. Um, Rudy Gobert, not just with the defense, but also showed up with the offense as well. He played big. Um, what's going on, BRF, with the Phoenix Suns? Is it because they can't? Is it because they're outmatched against the Timberwolves? Is because the Timberwolves are that good of a team, particularly what they do defensively?
Yes, these first two games, the first two games from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and well, I ain't have a chance to check. Well, I haven't had a chance to check yet, but well, I don't know what are they 10 or 10:30 tonight?
Tomorrow night.
No, they played tonight. I think they're the third game. It's a triple header tonight, and I think they're the third game tonight.
No,
Alright.
so yeah, they play tonight at 9:30.
Mhm.
Okay, so they're going now. So they're early. The first two games showed me exactly what I wanted to see from the Minnesota Timberwolves going against a team like Phoenix with all that firepower. It's their team. It's like the team is dictated, but I feel like their team is dictated on how they play defense, and the defense basically translate into them being able to run their offense as far as like the ball movement. And Ant just, I am becoming more and more and more an Anthony Edwards fan. The dude just, even when he has a bad offensive game, his defense picks up where his offense might not be having the greatest game. He just shows me more and more and more why I love this dude, why I feel like he's already a top 10 player in the world. And it's just he continues to grow. And this was what I wanted. And Jaden McDaniels coming out of nowhere. Those are the type of performances a team like Minnesota needs as well. When your A guys aren't coming up, you need your second line, your third line guys to come in and back them up and have a good game. And that was Jaden McDaniels in game 2. Did not see that coming at all. But sometimes the games you need in the playoffs are those guys you aren't expecting to do what Jaden McDaniels did the other night. So this is what the NBA playoffs are about. Or it's about the unsung heroes coming in, stepping up, making the plays that they need to make. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from Minnesota so far. I feel like they are one of the most balanced teams, if not the most balanced team. Honestly, I feel like they're the most balanced team in the league when it comes to offense and defense. I don't know. It's just that later on, like if they do get farther, how do they match up with a team like Denver or a team like the Clippers or the Mavericks, or how they match up with teams like that? But I just feel like I picked them to win the series against Phoenix just because I feel like their balance is just going to overtake Phoenix because they are too offensively minded of a team, and I don't think defense really backs them when they need them to. And I just feel like Minnesota. I feel like this series should be Minnesota in at the most 6 games. I feel like they're too balanced for Phoenix at this point.
Grant,
I'm gonna keep it a buck. The reason why I kind of really I won't be petty. I have so there's a story with this. I have eternal beef with Kevin Durant, and it's a funny story why. So there's some context before I get into it. I'll make it quick. So I was when KD, when they brought the Sonics to OKC, I was a huge KD guy because I saw him play at Texas and everything. I had a KD jersey, everything, and I was with him the whole way. I was a huge fan of him, right? So we all remember the series where the Warriors came back, blew the 3-1 lead, and they completely won the series, right? I'll never forget it. The day the announcement came, I was in school, and my mom picked me up and she brought me home, and she was like, I gotta show you something real quick. I thought she was like, surprise me something. Hands me her phone, and I see the words Kevin Durant to Golden State. The first thing I did was I went upstairs, grabbed that jersey, gave it to her, and said, give it away. Not even kidding. I was so furious.
wow.
I was so furious. I couldn't believe it. I was like, You get beat, you get beat, and then you say if you can't beat them, it's such a sucker move, and that's what made me mad. And my thing is with KD, when it's time for him to be the leader, what does he do? He cannot get the job done. He couldn't get it done in OKC when he had Serge Ibaka, James Harden, and Westbrook. Goes to Golden State, wins the championships. Then he says to myself, I want to go and prove I can do it without Curry. Goes to Brooklyn, gets Kyrie and James Harden. Everyone thinks this is about to be the most ridiculous team in the world. Completely collapses. And then he wants out of Brooklyn, tries to mess up his contract to start negotiations, goes to Phoenix with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. And my reason with this is I don't think they're winning. Because when KD needs to – the only time I've ever seen a situation with KD in this series, this Suns team is all over the place. Booker, 50-50, depends on how he does. I don't know how I can trust Bradley Beal in a situation like this. And I'm looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I'm saying this non-biased. They look like a more complete basketball team. Anthony Edwards is probably, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the league. From what I've seen him do this entire season, a lot of people – don't really give him the credit he deserves. And look, last night didn't play a great game. That's fine. But I feel like he's going to get on a roll later down this series, and it's going to do numbers. I don't want the Suns to win because the problem is with Kevin Durant, when it's time for him to be a leader, when it's time for him to take charge, what does he do? He doesn't want the challenge. And if he hasn't been able to show me that outside of Golden State, what does that make me think he's going to do it with Phoenix? So I think the Timberwolves win this series. I don't trust Kevin Durant at all. And he wants to get mad at us when we criticize him for him doing stuff. And then he wants to call himself the GOAT to base. Give me a break.
Big Champ, talk to me.
You know what? I'm going to just be real. When he made that move, I really don't hold that against him. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I mean, you got to think about it. When you think about it, was he right about that team? Was he right about the coaching? Of course he was. Now, do I hold it against him? So I don't hold it against him for leaving OKC and going to Golden State. Good opportunity, and they don't win it without it. So without KD there, LeBron definitely has one or at least two more. But I'll leave it at that. The thing is about the Phoenix Suns is this. It's way too many scorers on one team. There's not enough defense on that team. You have way too many cooks in the kitchen. They don't have a lot of continuity at this point. And to be honest with you, I don't think they took the time to realize how much that was going to affect their team. You lost DeAndre Ayton. You lost your rim protection. You lost a lot when you do that. A lot of people, he wasn't very much a factor on the offensive side of the ball, but rim protection, definitely a factor. So you have to take that into consideration. So it's too many cooks in the kitchen on that. And my thing is, to Gret's credit, you got to think about this, man. You have all that scoring, no defense, no rim protection. Guess what? If you go against a complete team like a Minnesota Timberwolves, you're not going to last very long because you're not going to outscore them every single night.
Facts.
You're not going to outscore them every single night. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Bradley Beal, scorer. Devin Booker, scorer. KD, arguably one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. Where's your defense? Where's your rim protection? You don't have any. So when you are a high-scoring team, I mean, we saw this with Run TMC a long time ago. If anybody remembers that team used to average damn near 150 points a game, but didn't have no defense. They lost a lot of games because of that. So, we've seen teams with a lot of high-powered offense, but not enough defense, and they end up losing games and giving up big leads because of that. For KD, I would say this, man. It is, although I don't blame him for going to Golden State and getting him 2 chips, they wouldn't have won it without him. But at the same time, now that you've left and you've proven not once, but twice over that you can't win, and you can't be that guy that stops the bleeding and puts your team over the top. It's going to be a lot said about that at the end of your legacy. There's going to be a lot to be said. You mean you couldn't do it at Brooklyn? Now you're at Phoenix, and you can't get them over the top. And it's going to definitely say a lot. You losing in the first round. You're losing in the first round. It's not like you're making it to at least the semis or the conference finals. You're losing in the first round. So my thing is, it's going to be a tarnishment on your legacy at the end of the day. You are arguing one of the best scorers we've ever seen. But the thing is, as far as leadership goes, as far as being that guy that could just stop all of the bleeding and start and just put your team just over the top and get them there, no. I mean, and like I said, they wouldn't have won that championship without him. But guess what, man? They proved they could win without you. You haven't proved you can win without them.
I completely agree with my man, Undisputed World Champ, as well as Grant. Man, Kevin Durant has proven that during his time in Golden State, he was more of a luxury, not a necessity. What I mean by that, they've won championships with him and without him. So at the end of the day, it just proves that KD can't win a championship elsewhere, even as the man. What I will say this about the Minnesota Timberwolves. The head coach, deservedly so, in the conversation for Coach of the Year, although Mark Donholt from the Oklahoma City Thunder will win it. Anthony Edwards. At 22, 23 years old, this dude is just a baller. He's tough. He's physical. He's gotten so much better as a passer, playmaker, as a shooter. Great size. He's not afraid of the moment. Loves trash talking. Champ, I understand you hate when people say, well, they got that dog in them. They got that dog in them. Certain people like Anthony Edwards, you don't mind having that dog in him because he backs it up with his play. He backs it up with his play. He's not afraid of the moment. And when I look at it, Minnesota collectively, they're just a better team. Phoenix, I think this is it for KD as far as the championship window. It's closed. And I don't see him winning anywhere else. Let's talk about the NFL draft. Now, we all knew Caleb Williams was the consensus choice for the number 1 overall pick. I think the Chicago Bears, hey, they did their thing. Even though they didn't get an offensive lineman with the 9th overall pick, in the words of my man, Undisputed World Champ, quarterback can't throw behind his back. But, hey, they added Rome Odunze. Even though Champ will say quarterback can't throw behind his back, but at the same time, Champ, quarterback can't throw it to himself. Somebody at least got to catch that football. And to pair that young wide receiver with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, as BRF has mentioned numerous times on my pod, hey, and with DeAndre Swift, I think Chicago did well so far. Washington, again, I wanted Drake May. They decided to go with Jaden Daniels. Champ, you told me they did well by drafting Jaden Daniels. I get it because he played in the SEC. I hope Jaden Daniels does well. My concern is the size, even though I have often said it's kind of like with RG3, man, because we had a slim quarterback, and to use the term quarterback can't throw behind his back. Well, you saw what happened with Sam Howell. And unlike Sam Howell, and here's the caveat, Sam Howell's a legit 220, 225. Jaden Daniels is 210. And if you're going to be behind that offensive line in Washington, what the hell makes you think you're going to survive, given the fact that you are a dual threat quarterback? That's my only concern with Jaden Daniels, champ. So he's going to have to put on at least 10, 15 pounds. I cannot. The Atlanta Falcons.
Oh my God.
Let's start right there. I thought about you and for Champ and BRF, just in case if y'all need something to help you through the night. You know, there you go. There you go, right there. We got some Di Serrano right here. Hey, I'm about to have me a whole bottle for the rest of the weekend. I could have bought that $52.99 bottle, but shit, it cost too much money, so I had to get me the one for $28.99. Instead of drafting the player that Champ has recommended, you wanted Dallas Turner. They didn't go with that. They could have went with a wide receiver, something that Atlanta is synonymous for. They didn't go with that. They ended up going with Michael Penix Jr. Very talented quarterback. Had an excellent season last year. Was a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. Helped the Washington Huskies get to the national championship. But you paid Kirk Cousins 4 years, $180 million. Champ, correct me if I'm wrong. $180 million, and
100 million guaranteed.
And my thing is, Kirk Cousins is being reported he's disappointed or frustrated because the Falcons didn't let him know that they were going to draft a quarterback. Is that true?
No, he was. Oh, well, I'll let you go.
They told him. They told him we're looking at Michael Penix. They didn't think they were going to take. He didn't think they were going to take him at 8, but they did tell him that they were looking at Michael Penix Jr. He didn't think they were going to take him at 8. He didn't think. Yeah, he didn't think they were going to take him at.
And apparently, reports are they called him right when they made the pick. After they made the pick and called Penix, they said, "Hey, we're taking Michael Penix with this pick." And Kirk apparently in his camp was shocked because they didn't think they were actually going to do it. So
right, that's the report. They didn't think they were going to take him at 8, but they knew they were. They knew that they were. He knew they were talking to him.
I'm gonna let BRF or Champ go first.
I'll let Champ go first. I'll let Champ go because I want to hear him.
Champ, the floor is yours, my brother.
Man, oh man. Atlanta, man. Look here, man. I understand the logic of taking a quarterback because you don't know how healthy that Kirk Cousins is going to be coming off that ACL, coming off that that Achilles injury. You don't know if he's going to be ready at the beginning of the season, although you see him kissing babies and throwing baseballs at the Atlanta Braves games. I understand that. But I believe someone in that organization panicked because you started hearing rumors about the Raiders trying to trade up in order to take Michael Penix Jr. You heard about a lot of other teams trying to trade up in order to get him. And I understand taking an heir apparent to a quarterback, but you could have gotten Spencer Rattler in the second or the third round. You need a pass rusher. You need cornerstones on that defense to go along with this offense to make it a more complete team. And for you to take Michael Penix Jr. at number 8, it doesn't make sense for what you're trying to do right now. Now, the silver lining of that is in 2 years, there's no guarantee that Kirk Cousins is going to be there because his whole contract is front motor. But at the same time, I believe someone in that organization panicked. And my thing is, you could have got Spencer Rattler in the second round. There was team willing to give you the world, move heaven and earth in order to get Michael Penix Jr. So there's no telling what you could have gotten in return for him. And still, because Dallas Turner went at 17 with the Minnesota Vikings. He went at 17 with the Minnesota Vikings. And that was after they traded up to number 11 in order to get, and that's after they traded up to number 10 or number 11 spot in order to get Jimmy McCarthy. So they still got their man. So my thing is, someone in that organization panicked. I understand about getting a quarterback, but you don't take a Michael Penix Jr. And if you really want to be honest with you, hell, you don't know how healthy Michael Penix Jr. is going to be over the course of his career. You really have a whole lot of, for lack of a better term, a whole lot of injury-riddled quarterbacks in your quarterback room because you don't know how durable Kirk Cousins is going to be, and you sure as you know what, don't know how durable Michael Penix Jr. is going to be. Now, you can say, well, he could throw the deep ball, he can hit the rock. You don't know how healthy he's going to be. You don't know how healthy this entire quarterback room is going to be. Both of them have severe history of injury. Michael Penix with his shoulder, 2 ACL surgeries, Kirk Cousins with his Achilles. So you essentially have 2 injury-riddled quarterbacks at this point in time. And for Terry Fontenot to say if he sits for 4 or 5 years, that's a good problem to have. Hell, by the time he gets on the field, if he sits for 5 years, he'd be damn near 30. So the thing is, you should have taken something that was going to put us in a position to not only win now, but potentially reach a Super Bowl. Rome was there at number 8. You had Dallas Turner there at number 8. You had offensive lineman there at number 8. Olu Fashanu didn't go until later on. You could have literally put us over the top in the first round by drafting or trading down. But instead, as you've been known to do, Atlanta, you blew it. Just like you blew it with Todd Gurley when you chose to draft Vic Beasley over Todd Gurley. Just like when you chose to draft Tank over J.J. Watts' brother, T.J. Watts, who is a preeminent defensive player of the year at this moment in time, excuse me. And you also blew it big time, huge big time, when you drafted Michael Jenkins over Carlos Dansby, when you knew Keith Brookins was going into the end of his career. How many times can you blow a draft and pick the wrong players before you start realizing it's not about picking the best players on the board at that time? You have to draft for need at a certain point. We have not made the playoffs since 2017, the year after 28-3. Ironically, we have not made the playoffs since the year after that year. So it's been almost almost a full decade since we made the playoffs. And for you to do something like that is flat out atrocious, especially considering the injury history of Michael Penix Jr. and the quarterback that you have. So you could potentially be going into the season if Kirk Cousins is not fully healthy by the time you get to the regular season. If Michael Penix has another bad injury there, that's another wasted pick. So you essentially have the hospital room when it comes to your quarterback room, all because you panicked. And when you have to explain to your owner of the team why you took a guy like a Michael Penix Jr. with the number 8 pick, when you had offers on the table and Dallas Turner there, it's flat out atrocious. Atlanta, that is the reason why we're losing Super Bowls, losing playoff games, and not even making the playoff game because you are making futile decisions like this. And as I rest at this point, I just want to say, rise up, but this draft is straight up throw up thus far.
Woof. Undisputed world champ with his take. But we got another Atlanta Falcons fan, BRF Sports. BRF, the floor is yours.
Well, for starters, I'll dispute one thing you said, champ. If you think for 1 second Arthur Blank wasn't on board with this draft pick, and if a lot of media really thinks that, they're crazy. The only way Terry Fontenot's drafted Michael Penix Jr. is if Arthur Blank was on board with this. So I'll get that out the way. But I completely understand why people are upset with the pick. And honestly, I think the only reason why people are so upset with the pick are the circumstances with giving Kirk Cousins all that money. And trust me when I say I completely understand. But I also understand the Falcons' logic from the standpoint of I was explaining this to PSP before before I left the podcast for a little bit. I was explaining this to him, and that was when Raheem Morris interviewed for the job back in 2021. He asked about, are we going to have a succession plan for Matt Ryan, because you need to plan, for his impending basic, retirement. He's not going to be playing at a high level that much longer. They went with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith had no plan after Matt Ryan. So Raheem Morris comes in. He comes in. Okay, they get Kirk Cousins. I understand the logic, because you don't want to go through 2022 and 2023 again. So I completely understand. I mean, you basically had mediocre to horrible quarterback play both years. So I get the injury history, but you know what? Part of the NFL draft sometimes is a crapshoot, and sometimes you gotta take a risk. Sometimes you just have to. And I think, as crazy as it may sound, they feel good about this quarterback room from the standpoint of, okay, you get 2 years out of Kirk Cousins. You don't know if he's going to be there after 2 years. After 2 years, there's no drop off. You got Michael Penix ready to go, if not sooner, depending on how everything goes. Now, I wanted Laiatu Latu, and apparently there's a news story that came out, reported by the great Steve Weiss. The Falcons tried to trade up to get him, and nobody was just biting. So the Falcons were trying to trade back up into the first round to get Laiatu Latu, because I think he was Champ wanted Dallas Turner. The Falcons wanted Laiatu Latu, which was kind of what he was, who I wanted, and apparently that was who the Falcons wanted, but they couldn't get him. So from that standpoint, I completely understand why everybody's frustrated, but I kind of feel them from this perspective. They don't want to. They feel like with these two, they're not going to go through 2022 and 2023 again. So I completely understand their logic in thinking of this, and being in Georgia and seeing Twitter and seeing everybody just freak out and want to call for Terry Fontenot's job and da 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 da. I tell people, y'all want to get rid of Terry Fontenot. Who we gonna bring in? Who we bringing in? Who we bringing in immediately to take over as a general manager? Because y'all want to knock Terry Fontenot, but y'all forget he's gotten success out of Richie Grant. He's gotten success out of Matt Bergeron. He's gotten success out of a lot of guys that he drafted, second, third, fourth, fifth round. He's been able to find gems. I've been looking at the draft. I know people are getting mad about the Ora Horo pick at 35. That one kind of shocked me, because I was thinking they were about to go with someone like with Newton or Kool-Aid. I thought they were going to go with one of them. Now, pick 74, I think they got right. They got Braylon Trice out of Washington. They got that one right because they needed a pass rusher, and they did get that one right, in my opinion. I'm not doom and gloom like everybody is with the Michael Penix pick. I want to let it cook. I want to let it play out. I want to see where it goes. I'm not all doom and gloom like everybody else is, because I guess some of it might be okay. It's the Falcons, so you have to expect the unexpected. But at the same time, I also feel like, I don't know. I'm more of the fan that, okay, it happened. All right, let it cook. Let's see where it goes. Let it play out. Because where everybody's on the negative, on the downside, well, what if he gets hurt? Da 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 da. Well, what if he doesn't? What if you get 2 ridiculous years out of Kirk Cousins, and then you transition over to Michael Penix, and he comes and he's healthy and he balls out? So we can't always look at it from the doom and gloom side. You have to look at it from the positive perspective. I choose to take the positive perspective about this from the standpoint of, I had to watch 2022 and 2023, and damn it, I'm tired of them with a horrible, sorry quarterback room. This is still at least on paper better than what we've had easily the last 2 years. And even though that ain't the highest bar, it's a bar, and that's something they can build off of. And we'll just see where it goes. I'm not all doom and gloom like a lot of other Falcon fans are, and because I don't take a lot of Falcons fans serious anyway, because a lot of them don't know what the hell they talk about. So I'm like, I'm not as doom and gloom as a lot of them are as far as the draft. I probably wouldn't have gone with Michael Penix. I would have gone with Leatu Latu, but I get the logic. I completely get the logic. And that's it for me.
All right. Grant, what were your thoughts about the Michael Penix draft?
Normally, as a Saints fan, I'd be like, "Oh, haha, y'all suck, very funny." But I'm just, I just want to I'm not the type of guy to be like this. But some situations require drastic measures. I just want to go and find the dude who woke up that morning.
You got your USC gloves on
and decided who thought that was smart. Okay, because this is the reason why. Why would you sign Kirk Cousins if the plan was to have Michael Penix? I got 24 hours to thinking about it, and I now look at it as this. They're probably having him as a preparedness because we don't know how Kirk Cousins is going to be after that injury. If he stays 100%, then you're going to have Michael Penix. At least you have something. But with your 9th pick?
8th.
Really? I've seen stupid moves, but I'm not trying to but it's why? You could have Rome was right there. You give Kirk Rome with Drake London, bro, it would have been great, but you let it go for Michael Penix. I will never understand it. I will never understand it.
Before I let him speak, shout out to my man Dev. Go check him out on Player's Choice on PC Gridiron and stuff like that. Does a great job as always. Dev, man, since you are an Atlanta fan yourself, explain the Falcons drafting Michael Penix Jr.
I think this is one of the best moves in the draft. Legitimately, I think we drafted the second best quarterback in the draft class. I can't keep a straight face. I can't keep a straight face. I'm sorry. I'm trolling. Hey, Grant, come back, Grant. Hey, come back, Grant. Hold on, I'm waiting for Grant to come back. I'm trolling. Hey, Grant, can you hear me? I'm trolling, Grant. I'm trolling.
All right,
I'm trolling.
What's going on, man? Talk to me about
be
this.
Trolling.
The thing that doesn't make sense. All right, there's multiple. I have so many scenarios. All right. This is the biggest surprise within the last 3 years, in my opinion. The biggest surprise, because here's my thing: if we're gonna go quarterback anyway, if y'all love Michael Penix that much, why pay Kirk $100 million? Why not draft why not sign Gardner Mitchell for $1 million, have him play for 3 games, then let what's the name Penix play? If you wanted Penix so badly, sign and you want to sign a quarterback for $1 million or something like that. We seen the Colts almost with the playoffs Minshew. We could have signed Minshew, let him rock. Do I have an echo?
No, you good, man.
No, you good.
Let him rock and do that. And then I'll be fine. The Penix pick is the fact that we paid Kirk that much money, and the thing that doesn't make sense. We could have drafted Latu. We could have drafted a defense player and traded back up to get Michael Penix because no one was going to get Penix. The only team that probably would have got Penix is the Rams. Not the Rams, the Raiders. That's the only team, in my opinion, that would have got Michael Penix. It's just a big reach. I don't understand what Terry this. Anything I like Terry Fontenot. Him taking Bijan Robinson, I understand it's a generational player at the position. Kyle Pitts, generational player at the position, makes sense for players because of context. But this one doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make sense because regardless of the position of need, you could have traded back. If the Falcons want to trade back in the first round, no, you could have one thing we could have drafted, then traded back up to get Michael Penix. We don't like him so much, or traded the pick down, then get another extra. I would have been, or you could have just hit up Minnesota. Hey, this team thinking about Jake and James McCarthy. Give us those 2 first rounders this year give us the 11-23, and then you could have got your defense player, then Michael Penix, or Penix and a defense player because we saw all the defensive player drop. We could have got Quinion Mitchell corner. We could have got at least a good defense player. If we would have did that, then that's a good move because we got Michael Penix for cheaper at 11 pick, and for 23 we kind of got a good defensive player, and then I was like, okay, that makes sense, but still, he's 24. I understand you like him, and his thing. No, there's no disrespect to Michael Penix because I think everybody thinks he's a good player, and that's what everybody's saying. He's a good player. He's not a bad quarterback. It's just that his age, he needs to start right now. He's not a quarterback, in my opinion, who needs to sit on the bench. He already has the experience in college. He already has all that. He's ready to play right now, in my opinion. But he's gonna be 28 when he started 3, 4, 5 years. Waiting what? We have to listen. We can't be mediocre this year. Like if we win 9 games, he's getting fired. The GM's getting fired, in my opinion. If we win 9 games, we have to at least win 10 or 11. We have to win a division. That's the only thing that's going to make up for this pick, in my opinion. We have to win the division. We have to win at least double-digit games this year. We can't have another mediocre season. Because that's the only thing that can solve this. Winning will make you forget your dumb decisions. Winning. If we lose,
bro, this is the NFC South. But you win 9 games, you're gonna win that division. This is the NFC South.
That is true.
You saw that with Tampa last year, and you saw it with a certain quarterback from
Tampa Bay won the division the year before, 8-9.
What's going on?
You know what I'm saying?
Here's my last point, too. And Sam, here's my last point. I'm a Clemson fan. I love Ruku Orokoro. We reach. We reach. I love him. But we reach. We could have drafted Kool-Aid. We could have drafted A.D. Mitchell. We could have drafted.
And he on my team. Let's go. We got Kool-Aid, McKinstry, and the tackle. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus.
It's just.
I think we wanted him to go along with Grady Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, who wanted Penix? Either probably someone's wanted Penix. I just don't get Terry Fontenot's reason for that. Like for him at 8. Like.
All right, I got a lot to say. I'm afraid 2 things. I got to be honest with you. I threw up after the Atlanta Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr. I ain't gonna lie, I threw up, and I kept thinking about Champ last night. What was Champ's going through his mind? Because Champ's been through a lot of shit. I mean, he had to go through C.J. Stroud in the national championship playoffs. I mean, to the point in which he had 3 heart attacks in that game. He had to go through Desmond Ridder last year. He kept saying Desmond Ridder could not pass gas even if you fed him refried beans. This is equivalent to Atlanta losing to Carolina at Carolina. This has got to be... I don't understand this move whatsoever, y'all. You could have gotten a quarterback in the 2nd or the 3rd round. You're paying Kirk Cousins $180 million, $100 million guaranteed for 4 years. But you bring in Michael Penix Jr., who's had durability issues as well, and you draft him with the 8th overall pick. What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to win now or the future? Because it doesn't seem like Michael Penix Jr., I don't know about the future. Not again, I don't wish bad or ill will upon anyone, but given his durability history, it is a concern. And on top of that, if you're looking to win now, you need to go with immediate players who can contribute right away. You could have gotten Latu out of UCLA. I believe he's now with the Indianapolis Colts. And by the way, the Indianapolis Colts have done a very good job.
They're gonna be a
problem because again, assuming if Anthony Richardson is healthy with Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Mitchell, and now with Latu, this is actually going to be very competitive. What's up, champ?
Blake Corum just went to the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh
wow!
John Harbaugh mad now. I know he mad.
Oh, that's
oh my God!
Actually, you know what's crazy? That's actually nice. So Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, that's nice. I like that.
I know
Kyron Williams, Blake Corum backfield. My Lord.
No, champ. Not just the Chargers. Dallas Cowboys are pissed as hell because they have no running back.
No, they signed Zeke. Zeke coming back.
So I think Zeke coming back.
So they got
bro, you might well just sign me to that damn contract. What the hell?
Hey,
That's what I said.
Hey, Sports PSP. You know, there's also this one report I saw. They said about the Kirk Cousins thing. They said that was more the owner's decision because if you know about Kirk Cousins, his wife is friends with Kurt Warner, and Kurt Warner has lineage to the Falcons and all that. So that like let's say apparently I guess Terry and Raheem Morris didn't not say they didn't want Kirk, but that's more of the owner's decision. This was Terry and Raheem Morris got Michael Penix apparently. If that's the scenario, then I mean it's still a bad. It still doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's still a terrible move because you could have gotten a quarterback. You could, to Champ's point, you could have gotten Rattler. You could have gotten somebody else. But the thing is, if you're looking for immediate plays, you could have went with Turner. You could have went with Latu.
Yeah.
You could have went with Rome. You could have went with somebody else. But you pick Michael Penix Jr., but you talk about future, and he has durability issues himself. What the hell makes you think you're going to have a future? Shit, you better have Champ there at quarterback.
And the thing is, what makes it worse, like, I understand that. I do understand that kind of mindset because next year quarterback class is weak. And the year before that, we don't know how it's going to be. And we're not going to be bad enough to get Shador or Quinn Ewers. Because I understand that. Because, like, if you don't want to draft a quarterback next year, I understand. Because it's weaker. And, like, 2026, if not, I don't know. We should have, if you sign Kirk Cousins, right, trade for Justin Fields. Or trade for Trey Lance. I would have been, listen, Champ, if we would have traded for Trey Lance.
Wanted Russell Wilson. He wanted Russell Wilson.
Or do that, or like do Champ idea. If we had Russell Wilson for a year and then we draft Michael Penix, I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine.
My thing is this. You had an opportunity to get Russell Wilson for dirt cheap. I mean, you only had to pay him $2 million. So that frees up a hell of a lot of stuff that you could have did. Not only in the draft, but also in free agency this year. Mm-hmm. We needed a pass rusher. You mean to tell me that you couldn't have went out and got Danielle Hunter, which you just let go to the Houston Texans? Now he's paired up with Willie Anderson, and now he's going to wreak havoc? So my thing is with Atlanta, man, it's like you're trying to do exactly what Rankin Smith used to do, man.
They don't have a plan.
You know who Rankin Smith is. It's like you're trying to pick players and look up on a championship.
It's like I think they don't have a plan.
And do what you need to do in order to get where you need to be.
Like they keep going to the character. Like I want a character, great character. Screw the character. Some of the best players be, what I mean. Like Randy Moss is all time great. People question his character, but guess what? He won them games. Marvin Harrison character issues, quote unquote. He gonna win games. Caleb Williams, he gonna win some games. Listen, I understand character means a lot, but listen, like I don't know, like I feel like teams fall too in love, like in reaching these players. Like you gotta understand, like you might like the player, but you gotta also when you do a draft, it's not about like obviously get the guy you want, but it's also about getting the guy you want and seeing like how badly other teams want that player too, so you can get him at a better price. Like. I know other teams wanted Michael Penix, but not at number 8 or not top 10. I promise you, Minnesota wasn't going to take Michael Penix at 11.
And even if they did, you could have traded him and still gotten a litany of picks. You could at least got 2 firsts and a second, or 2 first or a second, or at least a multitude of picks, so you can keep rebuilding the team.
I was so delusional. I thought like you know how like you draft a player like I thought we were gonna trade him. I thought like you know how like you draft a player for someone. Like I thought we was doing that. I said, we're gonna trade him.
The only time that ever happened is with Ernie Accorsi and Phillip Rivers, and they had that. And really, although Eli won 2 Super Bowls, neither team lost that trade because two of them are all-time greats and Hall of Fame. So, yeah, that's the only time you're ever going to see something like that happen. And even then, the San Diego Chargers were smart enough to get Roman Oben, who helped sustain that offensive line for at least the next 3 years, and they got a first-round pick in the form of Son Mariner.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's how you're supposed to draft, not sitting around here trying to – you have the capability in order to at least go to an NFC championship this year with some of the talent that you have on this team, with the backs that you have, the receivers that you have, with
I lie. The way
a
the
lot of
Eagles
that
looking,
offensive line.
we.
Yeah.
And you need a defense, and you didn't draft it.
And you know what's crazy? And look at the Eagles. Howie Roseman. This is why he's the best GM in the league, in my opinion, or top 5 at least, or top 3 at least. He
Yeah,
got
because he's
best-
aggressive. He takes
two top 5
chances.
corners. He got Quentin Witch, the best man-to-man corner, and then Cooper DeJean. He fixed that secondary like that. He like that's the thing. That's what a GM do. You see the problem and you fix it.
But Dev, here's the thing: he takes chances and is unafraid to take those types of chances, and so
Yeah.
far it's paid off.
We're
When
taking the
you
wrong
look-
chances.
You're taking the wrong chances, and look what's happened to you. But look, man, this better work out for Atlanta. According to Michael Penix Jr., he and Kirk Cousins, they're having some good conversations.
Yeah, I like.
Of course, no. Kirk Cousins is gonna have to do and say all the right things. If you are Kirk Cousins, you're gonna have to perform, but at the same time, you're gonna have to mentor this young kid because this is the guy that he's going to be the successor to you. All I'm gonna say is, go ahead, Jeff.
The thing is, like, Kirk Cousins knew. I think Kirk Cousins knew like they were going to drive a quarterback like later on though, so he's fine mentoring. Not this early though.
But this early, he could expect a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round, somewhere around that ballpark. But in the top 10, maybe he wasn't expecting that.
We could have just drafted Jackson Dart next year.
All right, let's talk about some other things in the draft, folks. The Kansas City Chiefs. They drafted Xavier Worthy with the 28th overall pick. You put Patrick Mahomes with Marquise Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce is still there. We don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice, given what has transpired. It seems like Kansas City is here to stay with the AFC. They ain't going anywhere. And Patrick Mahomes, he now has a deep target to throw the football. Let's not just with that move. Has there been any other moves in the draft you've been impressed or unimpressed with? Champ, I'll let you go first.
Number one, I will say this, man. The Chicago Bears, this is arguably the greatest situation that you could come into as a rookie quarterback, where, in the great words of Snoop Dogg, if you can't swim, you round the drizzle. So that is arguably the best situation that you could come into. Hey, number two, I got to give credit where credit is due. I know this is a late round steal, but hey, give a hell of a lot of credit to the Los Angeles Chargers for taking Lad McConkey. I think he's going to be one hell of a football player. And got to give credit where credit is due for the Los Angeles Rams for drafting Blake Corum to go along with the back that they already have. Sean McVay and that front office has been nothing short of spectacular since they've gotten back to Los Angeles. And when you really think about the Rams franchise as a whole, them boys do not miss when it comes to running back. They drafted Eric Dickerson. They drafted Greg Bell. They've drafted Jerome Bettis, brought Marshall Falker to the fold, drafted Steven Jackson. Shot last word. And then they drafted Todd Gurley. Now Karen Williams last year, late round pick. Now Blake Corum, who's a powerhouse. We've seen what he can do. So shout out to the St. Louis Rams. Yes. Puka Nacua. They don't miss their wide receiver neither. So huge shout out to the LA Rams and Coach Sean McVay. Hey, he's fresh out of Georgia as well, Mariners High School. Hell of a job, man. Because you're not going – I mean, they didn't have a first-round pick for almost 2 years, 2 to 3 years because of the Matthew Stafford trade. So for you to come out and leave out with a haul like this and come back with moves like this and making money moves like this, that's nothing short of spectacular.
And they got that pass rusher from Florida State.
Yes, got both of them.
Jared Verse. They got Jared Verse, and then they
they drafted a defensive tackle as well. So they are definitely now. You can't now. Neither one of them, in my humble opinion,
Braided
both of
Fisk.
them.
It's Braided Fisk. That's who it is.
Yes,
They're
neither
both
one of
they're
them are
both
going to replace
unbelievable.
Aaron Donald right off the rip because that's damn near impossible. But that
You
is
can
a
live with
draft
that.
for the ages. So
There you go. BRF. Which teams in the draft you've been impressed or unimpressed with?
Impressed or unimpressed?
Either one, however you want to go.
Oh, however I want to attack it. All right. Well, I've been very impressed with the Indianapolis Colts. Getting Leatu Latu 15 and then getting AD Mitchell at 52. Highly impressed with them with what they've done in the draft so far. I think right now, they are definitely the competition in the AFC South with the Houston Texans at this point. I think they should, with getting Anthony Richardson back, hopefully having a healthy Jonathan Taylor, I think they should be the competition for the Houston Texans for the AFC South. I think everybody's talking about the Chicago Bears, the offseason that they've had. I mean, adding Roma Dunce to that offense is what they have. If the Chicago Bears playoffs with the team they have constructed, at least get a wild card, I'll be highly disappointed because I've said it time and time again, they have a dark horse wild card. They have a dark horse wild card team in Chicago. That team, I think, can definitely make the wild card, get the playoffs. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know. Denver getting Bo Nix 12. Like, why? Why? 12.
We knew it was gonna happen.
Everybody, everybody's. I get everybody's ragging on Atlanta for taking Michael Penix. Why the hell are you taking Bo Nix at 12?
That's a better. No, that's
Considering the
better.
fact that you traded to get Zach Wilson.
No. There's a better. No, that's way better than the one. Because everybody knew they was gonna take Bo Nix. That's
So
better
what
than
checks
taking
Sean
Michael Penix.
Payton's FanDuel account? He's tampering under wins for 8
Ooh,
wins this
Lord.
season.
No, but good, but boy. I mean, don't get me wrong. For as long as he was in college, Bo Nix finally turned into something when he got to Oregon. He turned into a good player when he got to Oregon. But boy, hey, I don't know. I haven't really been too high on Bo Nix, but I guess in a situation like Denver, he worked out. You like what you saw, so you gotta. Hey, if you like him, I can't knock you really for going with it. Like I said, I'm not necessarily with. I know everybody's talking about Atlanta. With me, I am taking. You kind of have to take the wait and see approach with them because you have to because everybody knows if it doesn't work, Terry Fontenot might be out of a job if it doesn't work. But I think you have to take the wait to see approach with it just to kind of see. Because like I said, I'm not doom and gloom like a lot of other fans are down here. But if I'll throw one more team out there that's really impressed me. The Philadelphia Eagles make me sick come draft time. The Philadelphia Eagles make me sick come draft time. How good they do this come draft time.
They got the best executive in Howie Roseman, the GM.
They make me sick. They make me sick come draft time. That's secondary. They just retooled that secondary in like 2 picks. Come on. And then you still got Darius Slay. You still got James Bradbury. And then you bring in the dogs that you bring in. And then you bring in the dogs that you. Come on, man. You gotta give love to the Philadelphia Eagles. What they continuously do around the draft, and definitely this draft this year. So that would definitely be that would definitely be like my impressed, unimpressed. That'd be my thoughts as far as the draft goes.
All right. Before I give Dev the floor, Mavs won Game 3 against the Clippers. So I just wanted to add that little note out there. Appreciate Dev for letting me know about that. Dev, which teams have you been impressed or unimpressed in the draft? You can go either one.
All right, impressed with. I look at the draft board. I would say one team I'm impressed with is the Buffalo Bills. Trading back, I was around and getting Keon Coleman. I feel like that was a steal. He was my receiver 5, and now you pair a freak athlete with Josh Allen, and Then people are talking about Keon, he was misused in FSU. He can run routes, and he's a lot more athletic than people, faster than what people say he is. Another team, I got to get the Jaguars credit for getting Brian Thomas Jr. training back and still get him at 23. That's good value for him. Great value. You give him, he's automatically the best receiver in the team, in my opinion. Like, you give him
I
great
agree.
because like we see like we question why they signed Gabe Davis. They're not giving Trevor Lawrence like great help. Like, obviously Trevor Lawrence has performed, but they're not making it any better. Now you finally give him like a guy that can be a difference maker. So that's a good pick by the Jags. Another team, I'll give it to I'll say the Chargers, honestly, right now, because you get Lamb McConkey, a great route runner. You fix that O line, help fix the O line, and you already had the lead quarterback, so you can fix the O line. You probably have the best tackle duo now with Joe Alt and I forgot that guy. Rashawn, is his name Rashawn Slater?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rashawn Slater.
Really good tackle. I'm not saying the best, but it's a really good tackle duo. And then you get another receiver. I think Quinton Mitchell gonna. I don't think he's gonna be a star receiver, but I think he doesn't be bad as his rookie year. I think he bounces back. I think he at least has like become a number 2, like 500-600 yards. Because it's rookie year. We got to give him time because it's an adjustment. Because we've seen other players have like terrible rookie years and they bounce back because it's a receiver. It's hard tradition. Lad, he's gonna get open a lot because as a Georgia fan, he's gonna get open. Josh and Herbert gonna throw him to the dots. And for the final team, I'd say I'm impressed with. I would have to go with. I just say the Colts. Honestly, the Colts. You get Quinton Mitchell. You get your pass rusher, help fix the defense, and now you get A.D. Mitchell, the pair with Anthony Richardson. Now you got a freakishly athlete quarterback and a freakishly athlete receiver now with Michael Pittman and Shane Steichen now. So I think the Colts can honestly, if the Colts win the division, I won't be surprised. I'll be honest with that division. I can see either the Jags, Colts, or Texas winning the division. Obviously, everybody gonna say the Texans because they have CJ Stroud. They won it last year. They're the best team, but I wouldn't be super surprised because one's the NFL, two, that division was a lot competitive because people got to remember it took the Jaguars to have all-time collapse for the Colts to win the division. It's not like the Colts, it takes to win the division. It wasn't just like they was willy-nilly took it. The Jaguars had a collapse, and they actually are competitive with those teams. Like all three of those teams are competitive with each other. So I still got Texas winning like 11, 12 games though. But yeah,
Grant.
and unimpressed, it's kind of
I'm sorry.
obvious. It's obvious.
Atlanta. We don't want to waste your time with that. Grant, which team you impressed or unimpressed with?
So I got a few, but I'll make it quick. For first one, obviously, is Atlanta. We've already touched it. Drafting Penix, too early of a move. They've made it up with Ruko Horo and Braylon Trice, but it's still probably going to be a really negative retrospect for them. And the other one this was probably going to surprise a lot of people. Miami, the Dolphins, because I don't understand why you don't get me wrong. I think Chop Robinson is very explosive. He bends well. He has active hands. He could also win with speed off the edge. I just didn't, and they needed an edge plusher. I think it was a little early for Chop though, because I think it was I'm not saying it was a bad pick. I just don't think it was the right time. They got Patrick Paul from Houston, so it's kind of makes it, but I just feel like the Chop Robinson move kind of broke them broke a little bit of their back, so it might be a little bit of trouble. And if I'm saying impressed, I honestly have 3. So first one is my New Orleans Saints. So I'm gonna be honest with you. We needed an offensive tackle, and I was feeling like this team was going to do something stupid, draft one out of a community college from God knows where. We got Talise Fuaga, who is a great offensive player, and he can he can play tackle and on the guard end. So it works double ways, and we need a protection for Derek Carr. So I'm excited for that move. And then we got Kool-Aid. Now, we didn't really need a cornerback, but I'm not mad at the move. I'm really happy that we got a guy like Kool-Aid and didn't let him slide, because Kool-Aid is extremely talented as a dual threat cornerback. And what I see in him, I think he's going to have an amazing season. And I'm glad we got the pick and took the risk because I think Kool-Aid is going to do really well with the Saints. Then also I'd have to say probably Chicago because obviously Caleb Williams, the number one pick. We all already knew this is going to be the case for over a year. But then you got Rome Odunze to pair up with like we said, not only with Keenan Allen and with DJ Moore, but now that whole offense is it's legitimately stacked, and it makes the Bears look like a completely new team. And then you went ahead and added Kieran Amajade from Yale as an offensive tackle, which I still think is a great move too, because y'all needed a guy to be able to protect your quarterback, and that is a solid player that I think will get the job done. And I'm really happy about that move because I think it works perfectly for Chicago, and it basically revamps the team. And if I'd have to say the final one, I'd honestly have to say Pittsburgh, because even with all the moves they made in the offseason, I felt like that they were going to have to go into this draft. And the few things I think they needed, for me at least, was they needed a wide receiver, they needed at least a center, and maybe an offensive tackle too.
Yeah, just it.
They got Fatanu, which is a great pick because Fatanu is a great offensive guard. Then you get Zach Frazier from West Virginia. Great pick. And you just got Roman Wilson.
Deep threat, great pick.
Mm-hmm. So they have set themselves up now with Russell Wilson on that team. And Justin Fields. They've set themselves up in a position where I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but they look like a solid team overall. And I hand it to them because we didn't expect the Steelers team. I think the praise goes to Nick Khan especially because he basically said, I've had enough, and turned the whole team on its head. And now Pittsburgh looks completely different than what we saw last year. So I give shout out to Nick Khan and the Steelers, but those teams have impressed me. But the draft has been interesting so far.
Hey Grant, if they would have drafted, if the Dolphins would have drafted Byron Murphy or Justin Newton, would you have been fine with that to help replace Christian Wilkins?
I mean, I would have been fine with Byron Murphy because I think Byron could give you more as a defensive player, but I just feel like the thing was I felt like the Chop Robinson move. I felt like they could have gone for a defensive player.
He's just so wrong.
But Chop's a little early. That's my thing. I didn't have Chop going in the first round. But
yeah, he fell out. And the thing is, he fell out of the first round for a lot of people with draft boards because before the season started, he was the first round pick. As he had the best edge. Then he was just how raw he was. He just really had a lot of moves. He's super athletic, but but he does have a high upside. I'll give him that.
For me, Chicago and Indy won this one because you have your quarterback, you have your wide receiver Roman Dunze. The offense is loaded, and Chicago historically for so long they haven't had success at that quarterback position. It seems to me Chicago's in a new direction because look, they haven't had the last time they've had a good quarterback. You got to go back to Jay Cutler, and the more you look at Jay Cutler, the more the more Champ thinks more and more about a quarterback that he doesn't like and BRF doesn't like as well, and that would happen to be one Jeff George. And I'm gonna keep on bringing Jeff George every single time, BRF, because that's how Jay Cutler was during his time in the NFL. Let's just be real. Then you look at Indianapolis. Assuming if Anthony Richardson stays healthy, I love the pickup by Mitchell and Latu. So you got yourself a pass rusher and you get yourself a wide receiver for Anthony Richardson to pair him up with Michael Pittman. And on top of that, you still have Jonathan Taylor and you have the other running back on the roster with Sarkisian coaching the who's the head coach again? He was the former offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. I keep forgetting his name. But for the Indianapolis Colts. Shane Steichen, who did a good job last year with this team, almost helped them win the division, mind you, with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. So imagine what he can do with Anthony Richardson. I was kind of shocked with the Tennessee Titans pick, though. by drafting the offensive lineman. They could have went with somebody else for the offensive lineman. They could have went with the other guy from Penn State, who the Jets ultimately drafted, and that's a good move for the Jets because guess what? Who's also there? Ty Smith. What
Mm-hmm.
better way to learn than from Ty Smith, who's going to go in Canton to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and of course to give Aaron Rodgers some extra protection. Washington, I'm still iffy, not just with Jaden Daniels. We did pick up Brandon Coleman. I don't mind Brandon Coleman on the team. We drafted the tight end from Kansas State. So I hear that he's an athletic tight end. Still got to wait and see. The Giants did well as far as picking up Malik Neighbors. So LSU connection. We've seen wide receivers who have come from LSU that have done well, and they need a wide receiver, especially considering what's next for Daniel Jones. Either Daniel Jones or you want Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito throwing the football. But unimpressed, it has to be Atlanta. It has to be Atlanta. Tennessee to me with the pick. Not that they couldn't go with offensive lineman. I felt like they could have went with something else for an offensive lineman or defense. But Chicago, you got a future with this offense. Indianapolis, you got a future as well. I thought Kansas City did well by getting Xavier Worthy. They knew they were going to draft him because Andy Reid loves wide receivers with speed. In the words of the late great Al Davis, speed kills. And what better way than having a wide receiver who can take the top off the defense? Um, the Chargers. They picked up Joe Alt. Now, I thought they could have went with Brock Bowers or whoever, but with Jim Harbaugh, he's going to start off with offensive linemen. He's going to always start with offensive linemen. Take care of the offensive linemen. Go get you offensive lineman or two. Protect Justin Herbert because Justin Herbert has gotten hit a little too much. So, hey, protect him. This is the best quarterback you've had since Andrew Luck. You might as well do everything you can to protect Justin Herbert. But the wide receiver from Georgia, McConkey, I like him a lot. He can run the route tree, sharp, crisp, good enough speed. This is a good pickup for the Chargers. So I like what the Bears have done. I like what the Colts have done. I really like what the Chargers did. Of course, the Rams too, because you get the monster running backs in Williams and Corum. So I really like that. Of course, unimpressed teams to me, Atlanta. Chop Robinson, I don't mind Chop Robinson, Grant, but it's kind of like with the Raiders with Keelan Farrell from Clemson. If you felt like if you liked him so much, did you had to draft him that high? That's the thing. That's kind of iffy to me at best when I look at it. But that's what I gotta say. Let's talk about some uniforms. There's been recently some teams that have come out with some uniforms. One particularly the Denver Broncos. These are some of the new uniforms they came out with. And they got the classics right here.
Mm-hmm.
First, right here. Then you got Detroit. Yeah, the old school ones. Then you got Detroit right here.
Detroit's actually look clean. Not even gonna lie. I love that all black one.
Yes, definitely. And then you got the Houston Texans right here.
That might be outfit of the year.
That's hard. That black
that helmet design with the H.
That helmet is so fire. That helmet is so fire.
I like the 24 one, that 24 gun, that one. Oh, that's the same one that mine. But that's hard though.
So, which one of the uniforms you rolling with? If you had to start, bench, or cut?
Oh my god. I think I'll go. Start, bench, cut. I guess if we're going by just the full collection, this might surprise some people, but if we're going full collection, and I honestly I like them all. I'm gonna start Houston. I'm gonna bench Detroit, and I'm gonna cut Denver. But it's mainly the color scheme for me because that one Houston set with that that helmet is one of the most fire things I've ever seen. And I also said Detroit needs to make that all black with the blue helmet. They need to go in and make that just the all time home uniforms. Those things are clean. I love those. But I mean, it's like which one is the worst? And I love them all. They're all so good. But if I had to go start bench cut, I would go start Houston, bench Detroit, cut Denver. But it's not because I don't like Denver because they're all fire. I like them all.
All right, Dev. You on mic or you mute, man?
Oh, the cut is Detroit. Not because I don't need it bad. I just think they're the most. But even though the black is fine, I think the uniforms haven't changed much. I really like that Denver classic. I'm not gonna lie, that Denver classic is hard. The orange, the blue. I believe it or not, I'm gonna start them. It's very close. It's very close because that Houston H always got me in that red uniform, but that Denver classic is different. Like that orange or that colorway. I'm a fan of orange. I think it's different because orange. A lot of people don't think orange look good, but they made it look good. And when and especially number 2 when they had Pat Santana, I said, yeah, they got it. They got it. I think I Denver 1, Houston 2, and I'm gonna cut Detroit.
All right. Although that Orange Crush though uniform, I like that one. That as well as that Atlanta
Blue
one.
helmet too. I mean, like that colorway is hard.
Grant.
If I'm starting, we're starting the Houston one. That's not even in the conversation because I think the Houston one just looks so nice and they did such a good job, especially with the helmet design and everything. I love that from the top down. If I'm benching one, this is where it gets hard because I really like Denver with like the throwback scheme. I think that looks especially nice, and I like Detroit's like variation with their colors. You know what? I'll bench. I'll go ahead and bench Detroit and cut the Broncos because don't get me wrong. I like the throwback scheme, but that Detroit all black uniform with the light blue numbers and then the insignia, it looks so nice. I couldn't like get rid of that.
Big Champ.
Woo, man, that all them uniforms are smoking, man. They smoking like Joe Frazier, man. Hey, what if I could wear any one of them outside, man? It would have to be that Detroit Lions, man. So I'm gonna start that Detroit. Man, that all black and that powder blue, man. That is amazing, man. That's amazing.
It's clean. Clean.
Hey, man, clean like John Coltrane, man.
Boy,
benching. I gotta bench the Houston one, but that H is phenomenal. Yeah, that's you gonna see a whole lot of Houston rappers wearing that jersey. I can guarantee you that. Unfortunately, I love the Orange Crush jersey, man. I had one as a young kid, man, but I have to cut that one, not because it's ugly, but because that's the only one that's there to cut. It's like, do you like meat lovers or stuffed crust pizza? If the one of them got to go. It's simply off the strength of one of them got to go there and have to be the Orange Crush,
What's wrong with meat lovers, dog? Meat lovers is good.
No, I'm talking about one of them got to go, and then I gotta choose. I gotta choose that stuffed crust, man. I gotta choose stuffed crust.
Okay. For me, I'm gonna start Houston. I'm a bench, believe it or not, Detroit, and I'm gonna cut Denver. I'm sorry, them new uniforms right here, I ain't sold. I'll take the middle one over here. I'll take the orange for orange, but the rest of them others, I ain't feeling. I ain't vibing them uniforms, man. I'm sorry, man. Nike, you're gonna have to convince me with some of these uniforms that I'm seeing, man. I mean, when you look at the H Town ones right here, that helmet with the H is clean.
my God.
They used to
You
how they got it
look,
on the shoulder. The Houston
That
logo
is,
on that shoulder with the red star.
oh my God.
now that
I'm
That
not
now
is
that red
good.
on red, now that red
That
on
is
red, that Will
gorgeous.
Anderson Jr. You see what Will Anderson is wearing? That red on red. That's
Oh
fire.
my! I'm not even a Texas fan. I might just buy one for the heck of it.
I'm telling you,
You got
I'm not a Texas fan either, but one thing they've always been able to get right is they damn uniforms, boy. Those things.
Oh, 100%.
Hey, listen, just like Atlanta, Houston is in the South. Ain't nothing better than the South. We know that for a
Mhm.
fact.
you got to hit that little Wayne when you see them Houston jersey. Ooh,
Now,
Yeah.
now, now, champ. Now, champ. I hope you agree with me on this one. We need to petition the Falcons organization. You know how I'm talking. You know how I was talking about Detroit. They need to make the all black with the blue helmets. They need to make them the full time home uniforms. They need to make the throwback black with the red helmets the all time full time home jerseys for us. They need to make them the full time all. They need to make them the full time home jerseys for us. The throwback black with the red helmet. Y'all,
Oh,
boy,
that was so
that's
nice. Those were
those
so
are top,
nice.
those are top 5 throwbacks in all of football.
mm-hmm.
God.
Absolutely. We got another one right here. This is for my main man for the WWE. I love him because again, OU, OU. So I'm gonna give him some love. And even though this is not about a wrestler, folks, but obviously when you think of WWE, you gotta include this man right here, the great Jim Ross. Um, in my opinion, the best damn announcer in the history of the WWE. All the catchphrases from Good God Almighty, or the one with Triple H at SummerSlam, I don't want to use the terms or the words or anything like that. But when you think of Jim Ross, the catchphrases, the entertainment, the voice, and I said this, in my opinion, Stone Cold Steve Austin is the GOAT. There's nobody that has had a closer relationship with Stone Cold than Jim Ross. And the best way I look at Jim Ross and Stone Cold, they are the WWE version of Ahmad Rashad and Michael Jordan. Because
That is
Ahmad
perfect.
Rashad would talk to Michael Jordan. It on the ring, outside, on the court, outside the court. Ahmad Rashad would ask certain questions. Jim and Steve to this day have a great relationship. They talk about everything, whether life, booking, football, whatever it is, man. My favorite Jim Ross moment. There's a lot of favorite Jim Ross moments, but for me, No Way Out 2003, Eric Bischoff versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. When Stone Cold
Oh,
Oh,
Steve
you took.
Austin
I
came
know you
into the
took
ring.
mine, BSB.
Hey, I
God.
thought about it. And then Jim Ross is
Oh,
saying, Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Oh, yeah, I'm with the stunner. Jim Ross, you could have seen the face. You could have seen his face. He was electric to see Stone Cold open up a can of whoop ass on Eric Bischoff that night. That has got to be my favorite Jim Ross moment. And of course, my other one is him whooping Jonathan Coachman's ass in that belt whip match. But No Way Out
WWE
2003,
was so unhinged
that
right
is
there.
my favorite Jim Ross moment because nobody wanted to see Eric Bischoff get his ass kicked more than Jim Ross. Who wants to go?
Hey, I would be remiss if I didn't say this, man. Not only was Jim Ross one of the best wrestler play-by-plays of all time, but he also was play-by-play for my Atlanta Falcons as well. So he's been all over the place, man. And JR, man, not only a great announcer for the WWE, great announcer for the old NWA, the WCW. I mean, Jim Ross, if you really want to, if I could really
And
speak,
talent evaluator.
yes, of course. If I could really speak with somebody outside of maybe Jim Cornette, who I think is hilarious at a certain point, if I could speak, I would love to speak with him, with Jim Cornette and Jim Ross in the same room and just talk wrestling about their experiences, because I know they've experienced a lot more than I could ever watch. You know, those two guys, and although Jim Cornette's language is a little colorful, we would say, I would love to pick his brain. I would say colorful, you know. His language is colorful, you know, but you know, but I'm that kid who used to laugh at grown folks in church. So I mean, you know somebody gonna sneak one in on you at church, and they go curse at church. You know why the pastor ain't got to speak up. So you know somebody gonna sneak one in. I always thought that was funny. Jim Cornette's language is colorful. Jim Cornette's language is colorful, but I'd love to have a sit down with him. If I could pick one Jim Ross moment, man, I would have to say, I have to pick two, man. Well, number one is Hell in a Cell. Mick Foley. As God is my witness, he is broken in half.
Yes. All the Undertaker one. Yes.
Yeah. He threw him off that cage, and as I'm listening to it, I see Mick Foley come down, and I see Jim Ross start up. As God is my witness, he is broken in half.
Good God Almighty, he killed him.
Yeah.
Or when Taker chokeslammed Mick Foley through the cage, he's like, "Will somebody stop the damn match?"
Yeah.
No, funny thing about that, Taker said on an interview he thought he killed him. Like, honestly, because he didn't after the first
Jerry
bump,
the King Lawler even said he's dead.
Yeah, everyone no, because Undertaker thought after that second one he didn't move. Like, go back and watch the end of that match. He doesn't move at all. Everyone in that arena thought they just witnessed a man get murdered on national television.
And then not only that, people don't realize during that match, I hate to take the subject off of Jim Ross, but before he hit Terry Funk, he said something to him, and people didn't know what he said. And then a couple days ago, I finally figured out what he said, but right before he hit him. And he looked at him, he said, make sure he's still alive. So Terry Funk went over there and touched him up a little bit and got back in his face. And Undertaker had to hit him in order to save his face. But that's what he told Terry Funk, make sure he's still alive. So he went over there and checked on him real quick. And then, of course, Taker hit him, but I digress. Another one, I will have to say this, man. Unforgiven, 2003, when Goldberg finally won the WWE Heavyweight Championship. Like I said, language can get a little bit colorful, but man, you are not gonna get a better announcement of a person winning the World Heavyweight Championship than when Jim Ross announced that Goldberg won the World Heavyweight Championship, because it wasn't what he said, it was how he said it with that southern draw to it. And it's kind of like you talking to one of your very, very blunt uncles from down south. You know what I'm talking about, BRF. So for him to say that like that, it was just pretty colorful. And then look, I got to beat somebody. Man, he hated Triple H at Triple H's peak, man. I cannot tell you how many names he used to call Triple H everything except the child of God. So I mean, I'm just saying.
No, that's the truth. Go back to SummerSlam 2002 when Triple H hit Shawn in the back with the sledgehammer.
Oof.
Does he have a conscience? Does he have a soul? No.
Do you have a heart? Do you have no soul?
Yeah. Great or BRF, whoever wants to go.
I'll take the floor on this one. I mean, I don't think Jim Ross is just the greatest commentator in the history of the WWE. I think he's the greatest commentator in wrestling. Just his influence and what he's had, and just the mark he's left on the business in multiple companies. And even though, I mean, of course, in AEW, he's like not what he used to be, but still leaving his mark. I mean, I think it's a testament to his passion and how much he loves the business. Jim Ross is just, basically just kind of like seeing him basically be the voice of the Attitude Era. Just so many moments come to mind. Like, I mean, yeah, like any Triple H heel call is like just, oh my gosh, I'm with Champ on that. Like he made insulting Triple H like an art, like straight up. It's like some of the funniest things I've ever. It's like some of the funniest things I've ever heard, like straight up. But if I'm going with moments like matches for JR, I have a few. Like I'll try to keep it short. Like WrestleMania, like I've talked about it, but like WrestleMania 25, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. I just had an out of body experience when Shawn Michaels kicked out of that tombstone. It's like you're watching a great match, and for Jim Ross to say something like that, that's psychology, that's storytelling, that's just bringing you in and bringing you to the edge of the seat, and you're just like, oh God, what's about to happen next? Like you're thinking that Shawn Michaels really about to beat this man. So it's just how he sells matches. And then an underrated one, my favorite. I'm gonna keep it on. I'll keep it a buck. My favorite Jim Ross announced matches are when he's just biased as hell against one person, and he just makes it his God-given duty to call that person every name in the book. WrestleMania 22, Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon. I swear for God, that is one of the greatest biased called commentary matches I have ever heard in my life. Because Vince McMahon, that was like peak evil Vince McMahon. I mean, this was I think this was going into Shane and Vince versus Shawn Michaels and God. Like the dude, like Vince had like literally like flipped like straight up. And that WrestleMania 22, that street fight. I mean, when that street fight, when he
Shawn elbow slammed Vince from the ladder.
The elbow when he had Vince in the trash can. But there was a couple of lines in that match that was just there was one where Vince had tried to bring a belt into the match, and Shawn took the belt from him and just started whipping him. And he's like, lay it in him, Shawn. Hit him harder. And I loved it. And then there's another part, because they're in Chicago, right? So big baseball town. Shawn Michaels absolutely. I'm talking about one of the hardest chair shots I've ever seen anybody take. And Jim Ross was like, it's long, it's far, it's gone. I mean, WrestleMania 22, oh my God, when Jim Ross was perfect in situations like that, when there is a legit face and a legit heel, and Jim Ross can't stand him, and he's just gonna let him know. He's just gonna let him know. And of course, I feel even though you've already said it, my favorite of all time is No Way Out 03. Just, oh my gosh, like, it was like, that whole match was just hilarious. Even after Stone Cold beat him, and he's like, and he gets up, and Johnny the coach was like, Jim, sit down, Jim. No, him and Jerry Love, and Jim was like, 17,000 in the Cow Palace is standing. Why the hell can't I stand? Oh my gosh. Just Jim Ross, when he wanted to be, was just sheer psychological storytelling perfection when it came to commentating. That's why there will never be another Jim Ross for a very long time. That man is goated. Forever the GOAT. He is the GOAT of professional wrestling when it comes to commentary. I love that man so much. Just too many moments, but those just stick out for me.
Do you remember WrestleMania 17 when Stone Cold turned heel and he beat The Rock? And remember what he said when Stone Cold and Vince were shaking hands?
He sold his soul to Satan himself. Oh boy,
I
boy.
gotta come back in on this one.
Oh,
I never forget this one right here. I never forget. Remember when Rob Van Dam came? Remember when Shane got hooked up to the jumper cables?
Oh yeah.
oh.
I never
It's
forget.
still Kane. You
I
know
never
good.
forget. It was just like I can hear it in his voice.
Oh.
God Almighty! And then finally, Rob Van Dam comes out and start hitting Kane with a chair. And man, I have never seen so many curse words used so creatively in my entire life.
Yeah.
Oh no. Hey, I got one more. I got one more real quick. One more real quick. Okay. That same kind of, I think it was that same time frame, that same angle. When Kane had first took the mask off and he went into just like, complete psychotic, insane asylum Kane. When Kane fought Eric Bischoff, well, Kane was supposed to fight Eric Bischoff on the Raw. Jim, I swear to God, I think line for line. How did he say this? My dream for this match is for Kane to absolutely beat the hell out of Eric Bischoff. And then I want Kane to walk outside and get hit by a bus. he said when that one, I'm like, bro, JR, you goated, bro. You goated. You are goated.
Grant, what is your favorite Jim Ross moment?
I got a few that I'm looking at my list. One of them, I'll go iconic first off. WrestleMania 18, Hogan Rock. When Hogan dropped the leg and he made Andre the Giant with that move. The leg is hooked, and then Hogan kicked out, and just the way he sold that, absolute perfection. I just thought that was beautiful. I'll remember, and there was another one. There was when The Rock turned. And I think he sold out at Jordan. I think it was the Authority. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said, like when The Rock turned, he went, a corporate butt smooching champion. The Rock sold out. The Rock is the easy way to get ahead. Whatever happened to principles, values, and more? And he was just screaming like everything under the sun. My gosh. And then obviously, probably he's beaten like a government mule.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Vince McMahon, it was the thing with Rikishi.
And the stick meaner.
Look, and he went. I can't say the whole statement, but I can't say the whole statement but I just put it in the chat. And I'm gonna let y'all read that, and that's what that man said.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then he went, there is a God. Thank God. There is a God. And then probably.
Oh God. Go ahead.
And then probably also this one I just remembered. When y'all remember the Un-Americans when they tried to burn that American flag on TV. And Booker T and Kay came out there, and Kay grabbed him, and then Jim Ross went, cheap shot, take him for a ride, send him to hell, and Kane just gave him a nasty coke by the fence. Those all.
Do you remember when Stone Cold walked into? Remember when WCW? WWF, they were fighting each other, and then Stone Cold comes into the ring, and then Stone Cold makes his entrance, and then he says, "Oh, he's talking, he's focused." Oh my God, like Jim Ross.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Is it the old Stone Cold? He's talking. Oh man. Oh yeah. Gosh. Mm-hmm. That was so good.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
I-
boy. That
Well,
jump, boy, I'm telling you, man. Some of that stuff had me in tears, boy. That stuff was so funny.
yeah,
Ooh, boy.
he
Mm,
he was hilarious, man. Dev,
go.
you still there, man?
Yes,
Look,
sir.
I know you don't follow WWE as much, but have you ever like favorite Jim Ross moment? It's okay if you don't follow
I
it.
don't know in that moment.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But like I said before, man, Stone Cold Jim Ross. That's the WWE version of Ahmad Rashad and Michael Jordan.
Mm.
To me, in my opinion, because when you think about interviewing wrestler, that's got to be the two of them. But oh my god, I mean, we probably gonna have to do some more favorite wrestling ones. So if y'all want to come up with some ideas or topics for the Sports PSP pod next week, oh my god, the other one, what other Jim Ross moment I have to think of. I mean, there is a lot of them, but oh my god, man, that one, but the Satan one, when he told Stone Cold shaking hands with Satan himself, that
Oh,
I literally was like, I was eating cereal, I was eating a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, I spit them Fruity Pebbles right out of my mouth, man, when he said that. But Jim Ross, creative. I mean, energetic. I mean, there'll never be no one like him, man. He was just electric to watch, man. But anyway, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP pod, folks. I appreciate Dev, BRF, Grant, Undisputed World Champ, for hopping on. Fellas, any final words and tell them where to follow y'all at.
number one, thank you, Sports PSP. I am sitting over here literally crying right about. I'm sitting over here literally crying right about that because I've been
well,
sitting
my
right here
head
thinking,
hurting
man.
after all that. My head hurting after all that.
Yeah.
Oh,
But man, thanks for always inviting me on the show, man. It's a privilege, a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to always share the stage with you, as well as the other guys on here, man. Hey, Undisputed World Champ, man. Extensive draft coverage this weekend on TikTok. So look out for it. And again,
And go
thanks to
check out
all
his
you guys.
podcast, of course.
Yes, check out the episode we just did on Wednesday. Hell of a pre-draft pod. I know everybody was asking to go live on Thursday, but we did it big Wednesday. Hey, at PSP, hey, as you always do, hell of a performance, brother. Hell of a performance.
Thank you. Grant, man. Any final words and tell them where to follow you at, man.
Nope, but appreciate you having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on here and just chat it up with you boys. I appreciate that. Y'all know where to follow me. Grant G Glimpse 23 all over the market. I'm working on developing up the Instagram before TikTok gets shut down, unfortunately. But and
Yeah.
it's funny because once I finally start to blow up on there, they finally pass it. How ironic, but what can you do? So, but follow me on YouTube, GGlips23 or Grant, posting daily, trying to get more content up on there this week. But once again, appreciate y'all having me on. It's always a pleasure, and I can't wait to be on here for next week. Just chat it up with you guys. So appreciate y'all.
Always a pleasure, man. BRF, man.
yeah. I mean, hey, I might as well just echo sentiments. Sports PSP, you are one of the best out here doing it. Appreciate the love you showing not only myself but all the other content creators to get our platforms out there and get doing what we love to do, and that's talk about the world of sports. And you giving us the opportunity. Champ, you've done the same thing with your podcast. Grant, you doing it big. I'm following you more. You're doing it big, and I definitely follow Player's Choice. So I definitely got a lot of love for y'all and what y'all do. You can follow me. Like I said, the main TikTok handle is BRL Sports. Like I said, my main platforms I normally use are my Facebook page, my Twitter X, whatever you want to call it, or my IG. I got a link tree in my bio of my BRL Sports page. Be on the lookout. Baseball season's kind of kicking in high gear. I'm gonna start putting out some more baseball content. I said something about one of the last podcasts I was on about a series. I think I have a series I want to start reviewing like during the week or like during big baseball games, like at bat sequences, pitch sequences, stuff like that. That kind of determines games and stuff like that. Kind of introduce people into baseball, into psychology and stuff like that. I'm gonna start doing that more, especially like what Grant was talking about with the TikTok stuff. So I may start doing a little more on my X, on my Facebook page, on my IG. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And as I always say, a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. It's a pleasure.
All right, and last but not least, Dev, man, tell them where
Man,
to follow you, at, man.
First things first, appreciate y'all. As y'all know, I am a college student, so I haven't been doing YouTube stuff this whole semester. Got to lock in. Finals coming up, so I will be this summer. Get back to it. Follow my Instagram, Shamar_ATL, and then my YouTube channel, Da Vinci Sports. So yeah, so just want to say salute to PSP always being there for us, always giving us a link to use this platform to give our thoughts. Crazy draft night, man. It was even it's funny, World Champ. I said this to my friend. I was like, one thing I love about the draft, you're always gonna see one team do something dumb to a reach. It'd be funny, right? But when it's your team, I get this is karma for me laughing at my friend's team for doing a dumb pick the year before. It's karma. So, hey man, it is what it is. I'm still supporting Rocket Penix. We still win the division. Call it delusion or not. It's still Rise of Atlanta. I'm still a fan. But shout out to Javon Baker, my cousin. He didn't get drafted yet, but he will get drafted soon. I receive UCF, so tune in for him tomorrow. He shouldn't be going no later than the fourth, my opinion. He should have went to second or third round, but here and there. So yeah.
All right, I appreciate y'all, and y'all know where to follow me at. I mean, it ain't that hard to find. Sports PSP. Please make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Already at 1.5 thousand, 1.57 to be exact, as well as follow me on IG Sports PSP and TikTok Sports PSP3. We're still going to discuss more about the NBA playoffs. We're still going to discuss more about some NFL things. WWE. Since we did Shawn Michaels last week,
I have an idea.
Go
I
ahead.
have an idea. I have an idea. I think a topic we really should touch on, because we talk about a lot of moments and stuff like that. We should hit on some matches. I have an idea. Favorite ladder match of all time.
We'll talk about that. And also, I want to talk about a favorite. I want to talk about a favorite. Favorite Kurt Angle moment. So we're gonna do a ladder match, and we're gonna do the Kurt Angle moment. But stay tuned for next week's show on the Sports PSP Pod every Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate the panel. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the content creators out there. Y'all keep doing y'all thing. And we is out. Peace.